Hello, everybody.
Good
We are,
morning or good afternoon, wherever you're from.
hello, Brian. I feel like I've missed you. It's been way too long since we've been on a training together.
It has been a while. For those who haven't seen me or you saw me pre-UPW, it's good to see everyone again. I wanted to touch base with you and share the day with you.
Hello, everybody. If you are brand new tuning in to a dynamic duo event with myself and none other than the famous Brian Mayerall, welcome to the party.
It's
Today
great to
is
be with you,
implementation.
Chris Kuches.
Yes, yes, yes. Today is all about implementation, everybody. So, welcome to your implementation lab. All right. Today is a very special day. We are all coming back together. It's been 47 days since Unleash the Power Within. Can you believe it has been 47 days since UPW? How are you guys feeling right now? That's over a month since 4 days with the #1 success coach on the planet, full immersion. You guys broke boards, you learned from expert speakers, you transformed your life, you shattered limiting beliefs. You drank celery juice until we ran out of it all over North America. You did a 10-day challenge that you learned from Joseph McClendon III. You guys played that all out at a peak state. And a lot of you that we've seen in the Facebook group and the beautiful community here have continued this trajectory. You're sharing stories, you're sharing videos, you're sharing information. What we want to know is, how are you doing now?
Are you
That's what
holding
today
up?
is about. Yeah.
It's like, are you ready to bring the fire today? It's like you break through these boards. Are you ready to continue to break through in your life? Today's about the continuation of growth. So I'm so fired up for him, KK.
Me too, Bri. I feel like today is a representation of, it's like we never want to end a journey, right? It's like the journey of UPW, that would be like saying you could go to the gym today and have a tight butt next Tuesday. It's like, how do you keep this thing rolling? Brian, have you ever worked with one of your clients and somebody is like, the wheels have fallen off the
Tracks. And
tracks? I was going to say,
they're like,
either
they're like, oh my God, Brian, I had so much momentum, but things kind of went to a halt or a stop. So I know exactly what it's like to be where you're at 47 days after UPW. You're like, I want more.
Yes. And you guys, Implementation Lab is just that. Today's event is specifically designed for all of you, by the way, to celebrate the fact that you were leaders, action takers, you jumped into this event, you know exactly who you are and where you want to go. And sometimes we have this full immersion experience, 4 days, and you get back and we want to integrate it into our lives. And sometimes that, what Tony talks about, momentum, he talked about it the last day he was with you. We want to make sure we can keep that momentum going. So when he sat down with our team, Tony said, we want to make sure that we can give our hand out to our clients and support all of you in your next step to really, really keep this trajectory spinning, and not just content that you learned from UPW memorizing your workbook, but how can you make it tangible that you can start to implement it into your day-to-day life, and you can have the habits, the patterns, the routines that are going to keep you living in a peak state truly.
Yeah, and embody it, right? Because like KK is saying in the lesson that you probably remember from Tony at UPW, it's like there's a difference between knowing and doing. There's a difference between actually ingraining these patterns inside. So it becomes who you are, it becomes your identity. And right at this 47-day mark, you might be asking yourself the question, like, where do I go from here? Some of you have already implemented these things and you're becoming this new and better version of yourself. And there may be this like up and down or this zig and zag that's happened in your life. And now it's about, how do we step up even further? How do we break through the board of our life at this stage and get to the next level?
Yeah, and you guys, we want to just honor all of you because we've seen your posts, your shares inside of the group. For some of you, we've had the privilege of hanging out with you for multiple months now. I think we're going on 4 months since the original program started that Brian and I worked with many of you at. And if you have no idea what we're talking about, don't worry. But today is about recognizing and honoring where you might be right now. Because what Brian said is exactly true. And there's no judgment here. If you feel like you crushed it at UPW and you found yourself coming back to this moment with all of us here today, and there's been a little bit of that zig and zag that Brian's talking about, that's great. It's not about if you zig and zag, it's about, can you get back up? That's what a leader does, is someone that can get back on track. You know, and there's a few of you we want to call out here today, just real quick, because we saw some of your notes and we wanted to be able to share, hey, you might not be the only one feeling the way you feel. So one person I saw, and then Brian, I think you had some too, we could just jump in here together. Someone I saw was Jennifer. Jennifer says she's shifted her state, she shifted her focus, and she shifted her goals since UPW. Some of the challenges that she's going through is that just getting started. She's a little bit stuck right now in perfectionism, feeling a sense of fear of really, really stepping out. It's different when you're in the middle of a community, a virtual community, 20 to 42,000 people all lighting up after their goals. Then when you get out on your own, it's like, do we have a little bit of hesitation? If you felt like that since UPW, just drop, yep, been there in the comments below, right? So Jennifer says she feels like she wants to reignite the action plan. Write that down somewhere. Action is power. The action plan to move forward toward her new business. Instead of feeling overwhelmed with information, feeling powerful in the pursuit of action. So Tony brought that one up today because he says we want to get them ignited in power, in habit, in action. All right, Brian, I think you had one too.
Totally. There's a strong woman named Denise. She said after UPW, she was thinking about ways that she can implement into her life, and she's invested in the stock market. She's helped her dad's estate, and she's really just taking action in her finances. And not just that, but she's like, okay, I know life isn't about just like, I do one thing one time and then I expect to be fit, like KK said. She says, I'm going to continue the growth. I'm going to continue the learning. She joined mastermind.com, which Dean and Tony are partnered on, and she's continuing the work, getting into more spaced repetition. So congratulations on the continued learning, because I think one of the fallacies that most people find is that, like, when I get there then, or that there's this ultimate destination. And so then I can get to some point in my life and just go, I don't have to do anything anymore. Right. And what she's found out is that life is continuous. It's continuous growth. And the version you were 47 days ago, she's like, version 47 days now has more to grow. And she wants to get into a mastermind, and that's what she's done. So congratulations, Denise.
Yeah, and Brian, you just said something that's so key, and I don't want to miss it. It's you said it's the continuation, and a phrase Tony uses all the time. A lot of you have heard it a million times at this point because you're so seasoned. You've gone through UPW. It's repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition is the mother of skill. So it is this continuation. It is this process of it's one thing to train, and it's another thing to be welcoming of all of those hiccups and challenges and being willing to move forward, because ultimately that's what a leader is doing, is they're experiencing the trial, and then they're excited about more opportunities to grow. Like another one here is Carlene Kelsey. And I love this one because I know, Brian, you can relate to it. You and I are honestly so much alike in so many ways. And we were talking just before this about both of our first UPW experiences. And we were both like, whatever Tony said.
In. Like, we went all in. It was amazing.
Yes. We bought the cleanse. We did the juice, we were doing the breathing, we set the alarm on our phone. It's like anything he said, we were going all in. And so Carlene Kelsey is another one of our phenomenal, UPW board breakers. And she says, I'm doing my daily walks, and I'm drinking the celery juice, and I'm moving around more, and I'm moving my body and feeding my brain. And she goes, but our challenge is crushing our limiting beliefs, and yet not all of them are gone. How many of you watching this right now feel like you still have a limiting belief, or a few or three or some that you find yourself in, you're flirting with some limitation? Who's ever been there before? It's not flirting with limitation, just a little bit. It's not that that's going to happen. The thing that we want to focus on today, that Tony wants to make sure we share with you, is that it's your ability to start handling your limitation. And so that's what we're going to really be focusing on today, is continuing this momentum, right? It's not getting stuck, but it's climbing back out. And there's truly no better person to talk about this than Brian, because Brian, I know you really truly have a passion for like consistent daily habits. I mean, Brian and I talk, I feel like 5 times a week at least, and he's always jumping in a cold shower. And I'm thinking, I'm the person in the morning, like, cold shower is aggressive, but Brian's so consistent with it every single day. So today we just want to bring you guys the tips and the tools from Tony to support you in keeping this momentum rolling.
Yes, and the word momentum gets me so juiced and fired up because momentum doesn't have to be this like monumental thing. I know for some people it can seem like I have to do so much, and there's so many things that I have to focus on. And today's about how can we make all these things that we learned from UPW and then just put simple tasks in, because
Yeah.
you said something about Carlene and about her limiting beliefs, and she's flirting with limiting beliefs. And the one thing that I want to emphasize is like, you're never going to get rid of all of your limiting beliefs. You know, at each stage in your life, you're just upgrading what those beliefs are, right? If you look at a Warren Buffett or a Bill Gates, like everyone has limiting beliefs, but it's about the quality of those limiting beliefs and how can we continue to progress. So looking at this journey as a journey, not a final destination. And so when you think back on UPW, like UPW was a catalyst, right? It was to ignite you. It was to get you ready. It was to say, this is who I know I am. It was to remind you of who you are at your core and to unleash you, truly unleash you. And now that you've unleashed, now the rest is up to you, right? At the end of the day, we got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, Tony gave us all the tools and all the strategies. And now it's like, what do I do with those? How do I implement those in my life? How do I be more, do more, love more, give more, create more so I can share more? And it's about spaced repetition. So this journey today is about how do we create this spaced repetition and give you those tools and strategies. So Tony gave this analogy at UPW, and I want to just remind you of it. It's because it's so good. He talks about the first time driving a stick shift, right? And if you're old enough to have driven a stick shift at some point in time, then you know that when you first do that, sometimes the clutch gets stuck, and sometimes you don't move as fast or as forward as you would like. At the same time, though, you are learning and you are progressing. And sometimes it can feel like you're Bambi and your legs are shaking, but you're still learning how to walk. You're still learning how to progress and move forward. And today we want to give you that. We want to give you this 2-hour training where we really help you understand that it's about the small tasks sometimes that we put in every single day, because at UPW, we talked about massive action.
Yeah.
And we still want you to take those explosive, massive actions in your life. And today's about how can I implement every single day to become a leader, to become more, and help share that with other people. So we are stoked for you.
Yes. You just said one word, Brian, that I think is pretty essential to today. And you said to become a leader. And when you look at leaders, I think we all know a leader that is pretty magnificent, somebody that's basically trained most of our world leaders, someone that's trained majority of leaders in, I mean, you take anybody in athletics, financial titans, business leaders, global leaders, somebody that's trained leaders from all over the world. Who is this person? We all just happen to know a guy that knows a hell of a lot about leadership. Who is this guy? And that is obviously Tony Robbins. So with everything, Tony freaking Robbins. And with what Brian's talking about here, I think we can all, if you guys don't have your note page out yet, let's just touch on that really quick. This is a freaking Tony Robbins event, for God's sake. So of course we're going to play at a level 10, a peak state. And Tony would tell you today, you know, capture. Take notes, not like you're in school. We don't want to go back to school today, but we want to take notes so that we can be leaders and teach those things to other people, because you got to influence you to do this stuff every day. And then to be a leader, to be a giver, to be a lover, you want to share this wealth of knowledge with others. So today, that was just my quick little motivation bug for you guys to take notes and really play all out here. But the term leadership, let's write that down at the top of our note page, right? Leader. And Brian, let's just pitch and catch here on this. What strikes me the most, especially about someone like Tony, being in the business for 43 years, impacting over 50 million people from 100 different nations, is one time, I mean multiple times, but one time I heard him say that he would be a fool not to recognize that human beings run patterns. Okay? patterns. He's trained everybody. And no matter how successful you are, we all hit this loss of momentum. And there's
Mm.
really only a few reasons why. It's like we want to be so special, and it's like, but my reason, my limitation, my limiting belief right now, I've tried everything. And he'd be like, you're lying. If you tried everything, you would have found a way. Because there's only so many patterns that human beings run. Leadership is what allows you, like the word lead, it doesn't mean you need to have followers, but you can take yourself to a destination. So with what you learned at UPW, just put fire in the comment box if you believe that, and within those 4 days you learned absolutely anything that could radically shift your life. Put fire in the box below if yes.
And
What Brian's saying,
I want to add a piece, because when we talk about leadership, some of you on this call might be, well, like, I'm not a leader. And we're here to tell you that you are. You might be a leader in your relationships. You might be a leader because you're an outstanding mom and you're leading your kids. You might be a leader at work. You might be a leader at your job. You know, you might be a leader in your business. There's multiple different ways to lead. And so if you're one of these people who's is thinking like, I don't know if I'm a leader, I don't know if there's a position where I'm really doing that. It's about being a leader in our own lives too, and being a leader for ourselves. So I just want to let you know that you're with us on this one.
yes. And that's really important because leading, like simply just deduce it down to the word lead. Do you have to lead yourself to get out of bed when your alarm goes off?
Totally.
Do you have to lead yourself to choose between the chicken breast and the tequila?
Hmm.
Do you have to lead yourself at the end of a long day when you're doing virtual homeschool to not pull over at the side of the road and grab some type of dinner that doesn't fuel your body with the way of love? It's like we're leading ourselves all day and we're leading others. So what Brian, you just said, like influencing your partner to get married to you, influencing your kids to get dressed in the morning and not just keep their COVID pajamas on all day. You know, influencing your colleagues and your business partners to still play all out even though we're through Zoom and a computer screen. Leadership is a fundamental component. It's almost like the most valuable skill that one person can cultivate. Yet the definition of leadership is always super misunderstood, which is what Brian's saying right now. So am I a leader? I'm not sure. I'm kind of here. The definition of a leadership is oftentimes misunderstood, which is why people don't assume that beautiful responsibility of leading. At its core, leadership is just somebody that influences the thoughts, emotions, and actions of themselves and others for the greater good of the world. How many of you on this event right now want to freaking influence yourself, right? The most important person we can influence in the world is ourselves. That's why Tony always talks about it, like in sales training. In his business, he started off being one of the best, still is, businessmen and sales trainer on the planet. He tells people, stop trying to learn how to sell and persuade and influence. Just influence yourself. Be a leader. You influence the thoughts and emotions of you. Leaders do what is right in the world, not what's popular. You know, they make decisions that are strong. They create the culture. They don't follow it. There's no door. They build a door. They don't let other people prime them or determine their lives. They create success in their lives themselves. How many of you feel like after the end of 4 days with UPW, you feel like you've embodied some of those skill sets that says, I'm going to create the life, the future, the vision, the reality that I desire?
Totally.
So, Brian, go back to your first UPW, because you and I know talked about this many times, but like at the end of that 4th day, especially after the 3rd day when it's like the pink bubbles float up on the screen and then there's this like beautiful, like, oh, wait.
It's like when you say that, I'm like right there. So like let's give them that moment back. Like you have these moments from UPW that you've anchored to yourself, and the moment that KK's talking about is like as UPW started to wind down, or after the Dickens process, you remember this moment when there was a stillness, and Tony has the music come over, and it's just like dun dun dun, and it was like this rising within inside of you where you felt like you could accomplish anything. That's what leadership is. It's more so the feeling that you can accomplish anything, the feeling that you give to other people, right? I'll give you an example. Like KK and I were just standing here and we didn't give you some type of feeling, you wouldn't be invoked to stay with us for these 2 hours. But the leadership skill is that feeling that you pass along to other people. I'd like to give you an example of this really quick. Is I had a dear friend call me earlier today. It was actually yesterday. She called me yesterday and she's like, Brian, I can't get my team to do X, Y, and Z. I don't know why they're not taking action. I don't know why they're not consistent. I don't know why they're not doing X, Y, and Z. And I had to be honest with her the same way Tony would be honest with you and I. And I had to ask her the question, well, are you being those things? Are you showing up in that way as a leader? And there was a little bit of a pause, like, right? And I had to explain to her, I'm not going to say her name, but I had to say, I'm saying this out of love because the culture of your business and the people who are a part of it take on your culture, your leadership. And we want to just set you back to those strong moments at Unleash the Power Within, where you rose up and that feeling like you accomplished everything right when you broke through that board or walked over a fire and you were like, I know at my core who I am and what I'm able to give to this world. And that's what today's about. It's a reminder about who the F you are and how you show up every day as the leader that you are. So KK, let's get after it.
Yeah, let's dive in because we have a lot to do in a little bit of time. And that's always our greatest opportunity and greatest challenge here in the Tony Robbins world is we want to add more what? Value to you. Yeah, today we want to bring you guys right back what Brian's saying, right back home, right back to that feeling, that emotion, and just on that piece specifically right there. When you're going after something in your life, people usually go after the outcome to attain the feeling. When what you learned at Tony Robbins is that the feeling comes first. So if someone's buying a private jet to feel, you guys learned the 6 human needs, significant, you could still feel significant without having to get the jet, but most people have that backwards. So what we're doing today is going to take us back to this place of feeling, but not just to give you the feeling, but ultimately today to start to take some of those feelings and those emotions and start to actually implement them into your day and into your schedule. So what can you expect from today? When you get done with this training, something we always say every Tony Robbins event is that this will be the best 2 hours of outside training you have had in your life, except if it were with Tony Robbins. And today, that is true because you get done with this training, you're going to know exactly how to own yourself, how to lead yourself. When you guys are in the room with Tony and it's like he walks out into this virtual screen and something in you, you're just like, it's like he just has this like, I got this. Like this calming presence. It's because he's mastered his patterns. And Brian earlier said, the best people in the world, they always have a limiting belief, you guys, is just a pattern. But some of you, or I, or us, or all of us, have the same limitation and we try to get different results. We want to remove some of those, make room for more limitations, recognize them, and use them as fuel. So today we're going to take all of that and we are going to provide you, number one, with the tips and the tools to lead who, Brian?
Ourselves.
And then also the tips and the tools, because we want to take leadership to another what?
Level.
Yeah. If you can't give and contribute to the world, your leadership means nothing. So we're going to lead ourselves. And then today we're going to focus on the second element, which is leading others. And this content, you guys, it's some of Tony's best stuff. He only does one of these events a year. He trains on leadership just once a year. And it's everything he's learned over 43 years. It's the way that he leads people better than anyone else on planet Earth. He trains the most successful human beings on the planet, U.S. presidents, CEOs, top athletes, and 50 million people worldwide. And today we're going to give you a little bit of this info. Are you ready? Brian, why are we going to teach them this today? Because most people what?
Most people, listen, the reason we're teaching you this, and Tony, this has been like literally posted up in my office every single day I look at it. Tony says that so many people know what to do in today's economy, in their business, in their relationship, with their health, but very few people actually do what they know. And I think that is so profound from the big man because it's the truth. If you and I looked ourselves in the mirror, we know in our heart of hearts the right things to do. We know that we need to wake up on time. We know that we probably shouldn't eat that burrito when we could be eating a salad. We know that we can have those choices. We know what to do. but leaders are the very few that actually do it. The very few that actually say, hey, I know what I'm doing, and then I'm going to recognize that pattern and I'm going to take action on it. And I think
Mhm.
what I'm taking from you, KK, today is that leadership is the concept, and then the implementation, the action, and creating the habits and patterns that will get us to move forward. And that's why it's
Yeah.
so important that if we're trying to lead others, we're trying to lead our business, our relationships, other people in our life, we must first be able to lead ourselves and get ourselves to follow through on those actions. And what KK mentioned earlier is that momentum piece. Like, this today is meant to give you some momentum and remind you that you are the leader that you are. And it's those actions and those promises that we keep to ourselves, doing and following up on things we already know how to do. So,
Yeah.
okay, talk about habits a little bit. Talk about how we can get into these habits and patterns as human beings.
Great. So that's step number one today. If you guys at the top of your note page, you want to flip your notes and you just want to put, power of habits at the tippy top. That's step number one, because in order for you to master yourself, master your life, own your decisions, own your actions, we've got to start to influence the most important person in our world, which is ourselves. And that a lot of times can come down to your daily patterns and habits of behavior. One time I heard Tony say something like, literally the most important skill set that any human being can master is leadership. Because if you can't take yourself to action, then you die with your greatest ideas and intentions in the graveyard. And there's a small, slim percentage of people that can actually make the 2 millimeter shift in their brain to get themselves to do something. So we want to start to ignite some of these patterns in our lives right now. You guys have probably been on a high since UPW, at least a little bit. You're riding that wave. You're up every day. You're jumping on your rebounder. You're priming. You're getting that gratitude inside of your body. We're starting to ingrain some better patterns and habits, maybe some patterns and habits that take you in a direction you actually want to go. But it's your beliefs and your emotions that dominate you. So today we want to get kind of realigned with the highest outcome that you have and give you some daily patterns and habits of behavior that are easy, things that you can do every single day that'll start to give you guys wins. Wins create progress. Progress gives you momentum. It's like, I'll give you an example. So Brian's birthday is coming up and we're going to Cabo. And ladies on here, have any of you ever just been like, I really want to get fit, but like I just I don't have the time, right? Or it's yeah, or you're a workaholic, you're busy. It's like we work for Tony freaking Robbins, and sometimes I still get so obsessed with work that like sometimes my health gets on the back burner. We're just gonna keep it real with you. Tony calls that keeping it tight, by the way. Tell it like it is, okay? So I'm telling it like it is. And so Brian calls me up and he's like, for my birthday, I want to go to Cabo. I'm turning 30. I want to go to Cabo. And all of a sudden, something inside of me snapped. And I'm like, let's get the Peloton. Let's order the boxing gloves. Let's go on the run outside. And because I started doing that like 1 or 2 days, I think like last week I went on my first run and it had been a while. I'm like, damn, I waited the whole run. I went a mile. I'm feeling good. The next day I woke up with energy. I was like a little bit tight. I felt like success. I had a victory, a win, and it made me want to do it again. How many of you have ever tasted momentum and you wanted to do it again? That's what today is about getting you guys sustained momentum, a continuation of this journey by seeding in these small little micro habits that can really take you to whatever your next level is, but stemming from your first decision to unleash. Brian, did you want to jump in there? Because I know you've been crushing the game too.
I did, and I just want to say, KK, you look amazing. So whether you
Thank
run
you.
in there or not, or whether you get on the Peloton, you're going to look absolutely fantastic. So just so you know that. And
Thank you.
yeah, so it's like this base layer, right? There's this like base that we have in our life. And I believe that base comes from the daily rituals that we implement, the daily habits that we have. And the more that we can get those dialed in, the more certainty, the more that we feel like a sense of accomplishment. And that all starts with the morning, right? And I'm sure some of you have different morning routines. Tony gave us a bunch of great ones, right? Like the priming, the jumping in cold water if you got it, whether it's a shower or a dip, and it's reading and it's journaling in the morning, getting your thoughts very clear. Those habits aren't just there because they're good for you. It's the mental, like it's the mental practice that you do. It's those mental habits. You say, I did it, right? Like there's this famous video out there about making your bed. Oftentimes when someone comes to KK and I, and they're like, KK, Brian, like I'm struggling, and I'm going through a tough time, and they're coming up with all the reasons why they feel the way that they do, and they're valid reasons oftentimes. And one of the first things that KK and I prescribe is make your bed in the morning. Like, as simple as that sounds, it's that victory, that internal victory that you get, that helps you build momentum. But the key here for all of us, especially us achievers, is that you have to recognize and reward yourself when you do those things, when you actually follow through on those habits. Because if you make your bed and you're like, I do it every day, well, you're tossing that feeling aside. Whereas it's like, I made my bed, I did it. And KK is so good at this. Like, you'll see her when she speaks. She's like, she gets excited when she has a win, or when something's happening. Like, she got the Peloton, and she's like, you can see it in her physiology, right? Because she's rewarding herself for doing the action that she knows is getting closer to her ultimate destination. So today is about aligning ourselves for our highest outcome, and then getting those habits and patterns in.
I love that. Brian crushes the pattern and habit game. So I'm really excited that you brought that up. And we want to give you guys like 6 specific patterns today that you can start to implement. And maybe we'll talk and riff on a few more, but at least 6. What he's sharing here is that you want to, number 1, make it easy. Like, it's sometimes we get so overloaded. One of my favorite stories from Tony is he talks about like the person that wants to get in shape, and they're like, well, I got to buy the thing and do the thing and get the gym membership and go to the store and buy all the groceries. And he's like, you need somebody to get behind you and yell, move. Like, we just need to do these really small patterns, habits, daily practices, morning, night, that are going to keep really momentum sustained. So without fluffing up in the beginning, let's jump into what's going to move the needle for you guys.
Yeah.
And that is, we're going to talk about six habits today. And it's important that you guys associate pleasure to your success. That's what Brian's saying, is great levels of pleasure, okay? We're always driven by either pleasure or pain. And if you don't have enough pleasure to something, or leverage, right? When you think of like a teeter-totter, it's like you can move something easy. If you have a lever, you can move something easy. We want to give you a reason why to do this, okay? So the first one, are you ready for it? We're finally getting here. Numero uno is, this is something for the morning, at least morning or sometime in the day. And we get this from the #1 trainer on the planet, one of the smartest men I know on earth. And it is spend 30 minutes reading every single day. Now, Tony got this from his original teacher, a guy named Jim Rohn. How many of you know Jim Rohn? Like one of the godfathers of self-development. And he trained Tony, and he said to Tony one time, he said, Tony, readers are leaders. You want to be a leader? You be a reader. 30 minutes every single day. He said, Tony, you skip a meal before you skip your reading. Something that's nourishing, is of value, it's substantial, of psychology or philosophy or self-development. Something that when you read it gives you a distinction. That's a word from Tony, a distinction, an insight, a trigger, a nugget, something that you read it and it's like, okay, wow, it shakes you up. Even how many of you right now feel like just getting back on today's call is like, okay, I feel like I'm back. Like, I've got the groove again. But what if you fed your mind with something like this every day? Would that change the way that you walk into your world? So #1, the most valuable components of Tony's teaching, and I think for Brian and myself, and by the way, it doesn't have to be a physical book. Like, Brian, you love YouTube videos. Brian loves YouTube videos, doesn't really enjoy holding a paper book.
I'm like Dean in that sense, right? I like audiobooks and visual are for me. So when KK is when we're giving you these habits and patterns, remember, like, how do you take this and make it yours? What works best for you? And KK reminds me of that all the time. She's like, Bri, and she's the only person on planet Earth who calls me Bri. And she's like, Bri, if it's not working for you that way, do it in a way that works for you. Because I remember after UPW, I went like full Tony Robbins, right? The celery juice. And KK talked about this too. Like, we went everything Tony Robbins. And then eventually, like, the 47-day mark, or as you get to this point, you're like, okay, how do I make this more Brian? Or how do I make this more KK? How do I make this habit and pattern more me? And how do I make it work for my life? So when she says readers or leaders, remember that you can always watch YouTube videos and you can always listen as well.
Yeah. And on that note, while we're at it, you guys, that's what a leader does. What Brian just said is like, you don't just discount something and say, oh, that's not for me because I hate reading. A leader finds the way to utilize what they're given. It's called utilization. Anything that happens in my life, how can I utilize it? COVID hits. How is this working for me? Okay, spend 30 minutes reading. Okay, that doesn't really fit into my life because I have 15 kids and I hate to read and my dog chews all my books. All right, fine. How does it work for you? What can you take from it?
Yeah.
They're all finding the opportunity in something. And that's just a major lesson today as well. But number one, you want to jot that down. 30 minutes feeding your mind every single day, however you do it. If it's an audio, if it's a YouTube, if it's a book, if it's, yeah, just, it's not the back of the cereal box or like the news. Okay.
Totally. Number two is taking action in spite of uncertainty, right? And that's the lesson we want to teach. And then I'm going to give you some of the tools that you can actually implement. But when Tony says the certainty is not just a feeling, it's a habit, it's an action, right? And you learn this at UPW. It said, if you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. There's going to be times in your life where those limiting beliefs pop up and you say, I can't do that because, or I can't do this, or I would, but, right? And you're going to come up with all the reasons why. And I know we all have, we're human. I do too. Everyone does. We all have these moments where we say we can't, right? And what we want to create today is the certainty, the habit that you actually implement. And one of the best ways that I know how to do that, and KK touched on this earlier, is the cold shower in the morning. Whether you got a cold shower or if you got the beach out front like I do, or you're by a lake, is actually creating that habit, right? And it's that trigger in your mind. Every time I step up to the cold shower, or every time Tony does, or anytime someone does this practice, their brain says, I can't. I'm not jumping in that cold shower, because it's the fight or flight response. And so what jumping in that shower will do, or the cold water, or whatever it is, it will train you to say, no. I don't listen to the voice of I can't. I listen to the voice of I can and I must. Mm-hmm. And so the habit of getting yourself to take those actions that you know will benefit you, that will move the needle forward, as KK would say, is not just a feeling. You can't hope and wish that you're going to feel certain. It's the implementation. And so if I could challenge you today to put this certainty inside of yourself by jumping in a cold shower, maybe it's just for the next 7 days, maybe it's 14 days, or maybe it's the rest of your life like Tony, is get yourself to do that action. And I promise you, life will start to open up. Your days will start to feel more proud. You start to build that momentum, because one of the first things you did in the morning was prove to yourself that even though every sense of you doesn't want to do it and your brain says, I can't, you do it anyways. And so lesson number 2 is to create more certainty, take the action and implement the habit. So if you're up for it, here's the challenge for you. Jump in the cold shower, and then let KK and I know. You can post or tag us somewhere and let us know that you did it. And we'd love to support you on it as well.
And what is Brian giving you guys an opportunity to recreate? Who remembers something that you did at UPW day 1? It's called turning fear into power. And you got into a moment where you maybe thought, there's no way that I could do this. And you acted not in spite of your uncertainty. You put your arm around your fear and you walked forward with it. What'd you guys all do? You broke a what?
Board.
Ooh. You broke a board. Some of you have walked on fire before. You're fire walkers. And in that situation, like that's one emotionally rich example of it. But like literally when you get in front of that bed of burning hot coals, like I remember my first one. I walked outside and I was like 13 hours and I was like pumped up, and I'm like, I filled out my whole notebook. I was there with my mom and I'm like, okay, I got this. And he puts the video up on the screen and it's like flames. And I'm like, I don't got this. And I'm like, I'm walking outside and I'm like shaking, and I get outside and I'm looking at, the fire, and I put my feet like 2 inches away from the fire, or 2 millimeters, right? He always says you're 2 millimeters away from a decision. And something in you have to get yourself to literally put your bare foot on burning hot coal. You have to get yourself to like not just look at the cold water coming down in your shower, but like actually get yourself to walk into the shower. You have to just not take your hand and repeatedly whack it on the wood and halt yourself when you touch it. You have to get yourself to break through. And who here, when you guys did that at UPW, how many of you had a moment of massive liberation when you truly thought, if I can do that, I can do anything?
Anything.
What can I not do? If I can break a board right here, right now, with your dog watching and your daughter watching and your kids and your partner, and you write on their fear, you write on their doubt, and you smash your hand through it. What if you started every single day like that? That's literally what Brian's sharing with you right now. Every day you battle that like internal language that's like, oh, you can't do it, oh, you can't do it. And then you go and what? Do it. It's just so powerful. It blows my mind.
It's that reframe, right? It's that, and Tony will call this like a swoosh pattern or a reframe, where it says, you know, it's saying I can't, and then you with your will and your consciousness, you say I can, and the more you practice that, it's like this stick shift that we were talking about earlier. It's like KK saying, if you want a fit body, you don't just do it once, you practice it over and over again. That pattern gets ingrained and becomes who you are. So love it. And then I know you got a juicy one coming up next, this next pattern for him.
Next pattern, yeah, is good. It's develop a mindset of abundance and generosity. And I honestly feel like, you know, Brian, you just have one of the warmest, largest hearts of anyone I know. So I feel like we could sort of riff on this together. But the more you guys can think of this world in an abundant way, this is an obvious statement here, the less scarcity you'll experience. A scarcity mindset will steal and rob your joy in every single moment. You know, there are plenty of resources on this planet for all of you to be successful. So the moment that you feel something inside of yourself, like you have to keep or take or resist from like loving and giving and sharing, you're robbing yourself of true joy. And a great example of this, you guys, is Tony. You know, how many of you at UPW Virtual witnessed, you know, raising money? A portion of your ticket went to Feeding America. Some of you raised money for Operation Underground Railroad to support Tony's foundation with empowering the youth, inmate empowerment, feeding starving children like in Africa, education systems. Like our foundation that Tony created in 1991 is built around giving. And there's a story that I just want to share quickly from Tony to just remind all of you how important it is to give when you feel like you have nothing. And he shared it when he was younger. I don't know the exact age. I feel like it was like 17, 18, 19 area of his life where he was like making no money, had nothing left. Like literally all he had was like the money crumpled up inside of his pocket. And he goes to this buffet.
Yes.
And he's eating at the buffet.
Stories.
Yeah, he's eating at the buffet because he doesn't have any, you know, a lot of money, and he's like, I gotta like stock up right now. I gotta feast with myself, so I don't know when my next meal is gonna be. And he's in there and he's eating and he fills up his plate until he got a little bit of money left in his pocket. And in the door walks this adorable, like little young boy. And how many of you have a young person in your life that you can think of, like your son or your daughter or a little cousin? I think of mine, Tula and Christopher and Theo, and they're so cute, you know. And he's dressed up in a suit, and he walks in the door, and he's with this beautiful woman, his mom, and he opens the door for her, and he walks to the table, and he pulls out the chair, and the kid sits down, and anyway, they eat dinner and they enjoy it. And Tony goes up to the kid and he's like, oh, so you're taking your mom on a date? And the little boy's like, no, I don't have any money. And Tony has nothing left besides the money in his pocket. That's what makes Tony so great, is like he was a janitor making $38,000. He slept in his car at one point. He had to kill himself to get Jim Rohn's tapes to listen to. Like, he's gone through that. And what he did in this moment with complete scarcity, nothing left in him, is he took the money out of his pocket, crumbled up in his hand, and gave it to this kid and says, yes, you do. And the joy, this kid buys his mom a meal and he's so happy. And Tony leaves and has a feeling of abundance. And he says, if you wouldn't give a dime out of a dollar, you will never give, say, a million out of a billion. And when you can truly, purely give from a selfless and sincere place in your heart, just love and give and share openly because it's who you are. You will, I don't care if you don't have money, I don't care if you don't have people that love you or whatever it is, you will never experience the feeling of lack in your life ever.
Totally.
Brian?
God, KK, I started tearing up because every time you tell that story, I remember, going to our first UPW, and some people might have been struggling financially, and so that hits home for them. And so let's give them something, a habit that they can do either every day or every so often to remind them to act out of abundance. And so, just going back to this story, one of the coolest things I think about being in the United States or around the world is like when you get in line for coffee, whether it's at Starbucks or wherever you go get your coffee, your local coffee shop, is just buying that cup for the person behind you and not even telling them that you did it. Or when you go pick up food, if you're doing takeout or dine in, depending on where you're locked down or not locked down in the world today, and just whatever the amount is that you're paying, let's just say it's $40, you tip $40 as well. So those are two things that sometimes, to be honest with you, when life has thrown me curveballs and there's maybe I'm suffering in some type of way, I always remember that story that Tony tells us. Whenever you're suffering, you're staying in self, and there's always something more to give to other people. And so whether it's buying a coffee for the person behind you or double tipping when you go out to dinner or buying someone else's meal, there's one thing that you can implement, whether you do it once a week or once a month, but that's a habit that you can implement. And the key, and I think it was so critical what you said, KK, is doing that action when you feel like you don't have enough, or doing that action when you might be self-serving or suffering. It's acting out of abundance for other. And I'll tell you, there's times when I'm like, right, the achiever's mindset, and then I buy someone else a coffee or I buy them their lunch, and it just like it lights up my day. And because Tony always says the secret to living is giving. So if you can implement that habit and pattern, it might change your entire life. So it's a beautiful one.
And in addition, if it's not only money that's a resource to give. If some of you, one of our great partners, one of Tony's great partners, dear friends for over 25 years, is Dean Graziosi, and he'll be joining us in a little bit here. He posted a story the other day, and a lot of you probably saw it because he was with us at UPW Virtual, when he said, sometimes you get so caught up in your own life, you forget to give love. For the people that have been a mentor for you or have done something for you or opened a door for you or coincidentally paved a way for you or just offered you a piece of generosity or love. Like, it's one thing to be loving and or say that you love someone. It's completely separate to actually offer that currency. So have you been generous with your love? Are there people in your life? Something that I do, I look at my week every single Sunday. Here's another habit you maybe be able to do. A day that I have an evening open, I love to put Alexa on some good music, and I love to write a handwritten card. Something about a handwritten card, like I've given Brian a few of them, it just lights me up to be able to dump out, your thoughts on something Brian's so great at. I received a few of his gifts, is sending an Amazon book, a couple bucks, $6, and writing a really thoughtful note on there for somebody else and just shipping it to their house. And those really small, tiny things that you can do out of a place of love, I promise you guys, there's no greater feeling than just giving and loving and contributing, because that's what this world is about. That's why you're growing. Tony always says you grow so that you can give more. Okay, Brian, next up.
Next one is, I think it's beautiful, KK. I'm glad we spend a lot of time on that one because I think it's critical, especially in these times with how crazy the world is. And there's a lot of people going through tough times, and you might be on this. And thank God you went to UPW, because now you got the tools and strategies to help you propel yourself forward. And another big lesson Tony teaches is choose your partner or partners wisely. Right. So at about this point, you probably have some goals. You probably have some aspirations, whether it's you're like KK and you want to tuck, tone, and tighten and you're going to Cabo, or if you're someone who is wanting financial goals or wanting business goals or relationship goals. It's finding the people who align with where it is that you want to go, creating those partnerships, because we've all heard the saying, right? We're the sum of the five people that we hang around with, and we get influenced, right? Whether we have the most rock solid mindset on planet Earth, you are being influenced at any given time. Right now, KK and I are, and the people that you surround yourself are those constant like hits of emotion, of hits of certainty or uncertainty. And so those people you're around are going to be constantly flooding you with influence. And so if you think about that, if you want to be fit, right? Let's just say that you have a health goal, you're like, I gained the quarantine 15 and I like it's time to, if that's you, right? And if you gain the quarantine 15 and you want to spice it up, you want to get things going in the right way. Okay, great. The person you don't want to learn from is the person who also is struggling with the quarantine 15. You want to align with someone that you know that can lead you, like a trainer, like KK said, get that person right behind you and says, move, right? Like you want to get someone who's going to push you, someone that can lead you, right? So the first thing you do is, okay, who are the human resources that I can align with and someone that I can add value to and that I know would add value to my life and align with the direction that I want to go. So KK, can you give an example of a time in your life where you've aligned yourself and brought someone into your life that helped you head in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple years ago when I was working in marketing I remember the 43rd floor of the Aon Center. And my world, like my model of my world was the way it was because of the environment that I was in. And so I remember going, I mean, it was Tony Robbins for me that truly transformed everything because I saw a random flyer in my elevator and was like, okay, I'll go, check this out. And I go to an event and I go to UPW and I bring my mom there. And then at the end of that, I started modeling Tony. It was like all of the books that he read and the events that he did. It was that. And then I have other mentors in my life, like, spiritual mentors in my life. I have some friends in my life right now. This is a huge spiritual season for me. And some of those elements aren't things that I maybe previously have tapped into. So it was like, who do I know in my life that represents the deep level of love and admiration and care that I really hope to give and share and contribute to the world and represent that? And I have those people. I have like 3 or 4 that I've identified and called upon, and they really say when the student shows up, the teacher arrives. When you actually are like open to what it is that you desire, maybe you're on here and you are in a season of a spiritual awakening, or you're focused on your finances, or you're focused on, and you want to go to business mastery with Keith Cunningham. It's like you find these people, right? Keith is somebody that I learned so much from. But like for a great, just simple example is me identifying about 3 to 5 spiritual mentors, and some simple things that you can do to start to put them in your sphere is adjust all of your social channels. Like, how many people are you on here with cruising past that you receive and download information and intel into your beautiful brain? Like, stand guard at the door of your mind, Tony says. Jim Rohn told him that. Get rid of all that toxic information. Like, what are you consuming? Are you consuming news that, like, Dean said something the other day. He's like, have you ever gotten off the news and been like, honey, you missed the 5 o'clock news, you gotta go see it, like it was amazing? Like, that doesn't happen. So like, I cut that off. Or toxic, situations, people, things that drag you down, like what steals your vibe, removing that from your socials, having weekly check-ins with those people, reading their books, consuming their content, like fully immersing yourself with who is the mentor to you. Because like Brian said a second ago so elegantly, you wouldn't ask for relationship advice from somebody that's, been divorced 5 times. Same thing. You want to find the mentors that are sort of guiding the way for you.
Totally. And that leads me to the next lesson, which is create momentum. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but let's go in depth a little bit more here. Is how do you create momentum? And I would like this to be a reward system for ourselves, right? So when we talk about momentum, it's like, how many of you have ever fallen in a rut mentally, but yet like you got so many great things going for you? Like, raise your hand if you've like things in the external world, you're making more money, you got great relationships, everything's going well, but internally you don't feel so well. Anyone ever been like that before? Because Tony is given the saying that the ultimate failure is success without fulfillment. And so, how do you create more momentum? Momentum is that feeling of emotion, of certainty, of progress. Remember, progress equals happiness. And so, it's hard to feel confident and it's hard to feel the momentum if you're not giving yourself the reward when you do things well. And so we want to reward these moments. We want to reward these small moments and these big victories in our life because that's just this hit of emotion that says, I am doing it. Because if you do all these tasks and you're just going through the motions and you're making more money and you got beautiful relationships and everything seems to be going well, but internally you're dead, it might be because you're not rewarding yourself. And so for this momentum piece, I want to just urge you to give yourself the gift of just like taking 2 minutes or 2 seconds after something amazing happens and like jumping up and down or turning the music on. Like KK is amazing at this. I've seen her morning routine, right? In the morning, she like rewards herself just for waking up. So she'll turn on, and I don't want to say the name, but it's the Amazon product because I got one in here and it's going to go off. But Alexa, if she'll say Alexa, and then the music will go off, and she's dancing around she's dancing around in the morning, and it's that feeling the reward that she gives herself that says, I like this. I want more of this. I'm feeling the progress, not just making progress. You feel what I'm saying? So if we're going to create momentum and if you're going to do the cold shower or you're going to buy the coffee for the person behind you, or you're going to align with the mentor and actually take those actions, reward yourself for giving the effort. And I want to make that distinction for you right now. Reward the effort, not necessarily the result. But because remember, my friends, especially those achievers, is that we are not our results. We are our soul that gets results, and those are the external things. Those are external validations. But we want to reward the effort and the progress. And progress can mean you tried your tail off, you worked your tail off, and things didn't go the right way. But you'll notice that if you reward just the effort of doing it, you're going to be like, that's okay. Like I didn't get the result that I wanted, but I want more. I want more progress. And so this momentum piece, if we can just lock this one in for you and give you a habit, is every time you do something amazing throughout the day, whether it's give a compliment to someone else or you put in the effort, give yourself a reward. And I'll give you a trigger that KK has them too, and I have them as well. But like when I do something amazing, sometimes I'll just snap my finger or I'll tap my heart, and that's a reminder to myself like, hey, I'm doing this, like, and I'm doing it amazing. And it's just that like that gift that I give to myself of just a tap of the heart or a snap of the fingers, or even sometimes like even on this call, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've tapped my knee a few times, like, you're doing good, things are going well. And it's just like internally just like woo, like it gives you this like jolt, like reminds you like, hey, this is fun, this is momentum, and I continue to go forward. So KK, what are some tools or habits that you have? I know I just like spilt the beans on your Monday morning or your morning routine, but what are some other ways that you reward yourself to feel the momentum, not just get results?
That's a really important question because how many of you listening right now have ever, in an unhealthy way, rewarded yourself?
Mm.
You know, we sometimes there's positive ways we reward ourselves and negative ways, and you guys will learn so much more about this in other programs that you do with Tony as you continue your journey. But there are many different. What'd you say?
Especially at leadership.
Yeah,
Leadership
like
Academy. I went there and it was like I learned about these reward systems and how to be a leader for other people, and it was like it blew my mind the first time I heard it.
And the content you guys are getting today, this is really truly about leadership. So when you look at successful leaders in the world, people like Tony Robbins, people like, Dean Graziosi, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, Conor McGregor, Julianne Hough, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, US presidents, people that have worked with Tony, what they are leaders, and they can get themselves to do something in a moment. And so creating these beautiful celebrations around your wins, something that even Brian told me. We were doing a live training together. I remember we were in Miami in a skyrise building, and it was like beautiful. We had a studio production set up there, and I had said to him, this is the beauty of having someone in your sphere, by the way, that represents more of who you want to be. I said to Brian, I want to be more consistent. Want to be more consistent. And I wrote it on a whiteboard. I said, I want to be more consistent. That's what we do. We write everything out on a whiteboard. And he took a marker and he wrote in the middle, he goes, even more consistent. So giving yourself the credit that you already are enough and you might want to do more is great. And now, a specific example in the morning, this is a quick celebration that I do, is a pattern that I wanted to have involved in my morning was drinking lemon water. Because you guys all know this, you learned this at UPW. Detoxes the body. I have lemon water in here. It's amazing. It's cleans out everything, and it also, like, I am not a huge hydrator, so just being better about hydration was important. So I have this habit that I want, but I knew that I had to make it something gorgeous, something beautiful, something exciting, something that I wanted to do, because I actually don't love drinking water. I don't know what it is about it. It's not, it hasn't ever been that easy for me unless I was, playing sports and was super, super dehydrated. So in the morning, I created a small ceremony around it. My Alexa wakes me up in the morning to a specific song every day, and I get out of bed. I just like pop, and I pop out, and I'm like celebrating the fact that I have air in my lungs and I'm alive. But I walk over to my water, and I have a ceremony around putting it together, like squeezing the lemon, saying a blessing over the water, being grateful for the water and for the clearing out of my body, and like what's some low hanging fruit that I'm grateful for. The air in my lungs, the fact that I'm watching the sunrise. And that moment makes this water like holy to me. And then I take it with me as I walk my dog. And I have a walk. Her name's Harlow. I walk her every morning while I drink the water, and I go on a gratitude walk. And so, because I created that celebration for myself, now not having the lemon water, I'm missing like this holy washing of my body. This is a very extensive example, but you can see how I created some type of joy and pleasure around drinking the water, which is why I want to keep doing it.
Totally. And can I just add one more little piece to this? Is like,
Yeah.
93 to 95% of our thoughts and our habits every day are the exact same as the day before, right? So that means we have this like small window of consciousness where we can really change our patterns. And by KK creating this ritual and slowing down and recognizing and feeling those emotions, it's not just like this foo feeling good. It's the conscious awareness of like, hey, I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing it. This is why it feels good. And that over time can be that like leverage that tips you over and keeps that pattern ingrained. So beautiful.
All right, we're going to wrap up this section with one step. So keep in mind right now, you guys are learning how to influence yourself. This information is some of Tony's best leadership tips trainings, but it's like the tip of the iceberg. We want to bring this to you today to give you something tangible to use. So that last step here is never stop asking the most important questions. If you are a note taker, write down questions. To get the results, you can't just ask a question one time and get an answer and be like, well, doesn't work. I've tried everything. Something Tony says in even our team meetings, we have our company comes together and we want to present a new idea or opportunity. If we gave him one thing, you never show up to Tony with just one option. He'd be like, what the F is this? And if you give him two options, he says, you gave me a dilemma. I got one or two things. He said, give me three options. Now you're in choice. And so when you're asking questions about your life, seek and you shall find. Ask and your brain will come up with the answer. If you ask yourself what's so bad about this, you'll find all the reasons why COVID is bad for your business, right? What if you said what's great about this? Ask a better question, get a better answer. And so today we are going to give you just really quick a set of questions to implement for the next several days. Brian and I are going to do it alongside of you. We have our leadership event coming up in October. So I was going to do it personally every single day, stretch myself to do it from now in the morning and night until we actually go to leadership together. And Brian agreed we're going to do it together. So if anyone wants to join us, you guys can totally do that. But it's a set of morning questions and evening questions, and you can grab a journal. You can journal it. Tony's got even journals on our foundation's website. You guys can get one that says Live with Passion. But just write these things out. If you're not a writer, at least think about it. Type it in your phone, voice record, whatever it is. But the purpose of these questions, like the morning questions and the evening questions, is to pre-frame your day, okay? And then give you new references of what you're capable of. So in the morning, you're going to open your eyes. You're going to reach over. You're going to grab your holy lemon water, whatever it is. Grab your journal. Grab your notebook. Sit down with you and your brain, and we're going to reinforce your sense of connection with this beautiful life, with your energy, your vitality, the life that you live by asking three simple questions. If you are ready To learn the 3 questions, I want you to put "I'm ready, Brian and KK" in the comment box, okay? These questions are designed by Tony to produce optimal emotion, joy, happiness, fulfillment, success. They're going to kind of prime you to get those things out of your life. So, number 1 is, what am I most happy about in my life right now? What am I most happy about in my life right now? And how does that make me feel? Because remember, it's the feeling. It's not the thing you have, it's the feeling that it brings you. Number 2 is, what am I most proud of in my life right now? And how does that make me what, Brian?
Feel.
Feel. And number 3 is, what am I most committed to in my life right now? So let's just run through those. Brian, if you could give a 2-second answer on each. What are you most happy about in your life right now?
I'm most happy about the gift of being able to serve other people, and especially in moments like this. And it makes me feel amazing to know that I've been impacted by Tony's work, and you and I get to share it with everyone right now, and what we do day to day, going into different businesses and giving speeches.
What are you most proud of in your life right now?
I'm most proud of my relationships in my life, my friendships, and knowing that I've poured into them, and they pour back into me. I'm just so proud of the depth of those relationships. I feel very fortunate to have surrounded around amazing people. So, and it makes me feel warm inside.
Yay! And what are you most committed to in your life right now?
I'm most committed to changing as many lives as possible and transforming the lives of anyone that I come into service with. So,
Give me a high five. Come
and it makes me feel amazing. KK have the unique KK and I have the unique privilege to either hop on these Zooms or go into different businesses and give basically like mini UPW sessions for different groups. And I try and follow Tony's lead on this. Is when he was working with Jim Rohn, like he would go into every room and every single person was transformed. And
Yeah.
so that's the feeling. Boom.
I love it. Okay, so then you start your day with that. And as you can see, even if shit was hitting the fan and we were in the middle of a global pandemic, you can still find an answer to those questions, because when you ask it in a certain way, your brain will find an answer. So, what are you most happy about? What are you most proud of in your life right now? And then priming your day with that, starting your day, is going to set your day up from just a better state. Remember, state is the way that you feel. So we want to create that emotion. And then you're going to follow up with some questions at night. Go ahead and write these down. This is to condition new patterns. You guys know the difference between you getting where you want to go and not are these patterns that we're running. And so when you are about to go to sleep, ask yourself these questions. Number 1 is, what have I been given today?
Mm.
And in what ways have I been a giver? That's important. One time Tony said to me, I'll never forget it. He looked me dead in the eye and he said, Brian just talked about relationships. He says, relationships is about what you give, not what you get. And a lot of times, especially in self-development, you get on calls like this and, we take. Like a lot of you over there taking your notes, but are you going to go and give? Are you going to go lead others? Are you going to lead your teams? Are you going to lead your families? Are you going to lead your community? And share what you learn here. What have I been given? And what are ways that I have been a giver? Number 2 is, what have I learned today? Something Tony said, like, we're forever students. I even saw Tony, we were at Business Mastery, and he went to the side of the screen. This happened at Comeback Challenge, if you were there. This happened at UPW Virtual and Business Mastery. Any speaker that was on stage, like Tony's literally the smartest person I know. He has a notebook and he's off screen taking notes like crazy, just consistently learning, because that's evolution. We grow so we can give. So what have you learned today? And then finally, how has today added to the quality of investment on my life? How has today added to the quality of investment on my life? Brian, anything to add there?
Yeah, let's turn it because I think people want to know the answers to these for you, KK. So with number 1, as if you were wrapping up your day, what have you been given today, and in what ways have you been a giver?
Today, I've been given the gift to hang out with all of you here. I mean, it's such a privilege and opportunity. Like when Brian and I got the note, it was just like so cool. We get to come and be a part of your implementation. You know, we truly didn't have that when Brian and I went to UPW. We didn't have a post-event implementation. So this was a huge honor just to be here and share some of these tips from Tony today. So I think that's what I've been given today is the opportunity to be here with you guys. And then the ways that I've been a giver is my family this morning spent some time planning. I don't know if she's on, but my mom's birthday is coming up in October. And relationships is really, really important for me right now, like more important than ever. And so just getting in and thinking about like what would light my mom up, what could we do, where could we go, what could we bring together to give her this insane experience, and just giving like just the thought and the love and the energy to putting that together and being with our family and flying people in like that. Yeah, really special. And if it were to make me feel some type of way, it would be like,
I can see it in your physiology. Okay, so I know we haven't wrapped up this day, but there's so many ways that you can still reflect it. You know, for you, it's almost 1 o'clock, a little after 1 in Florida there. What have you learned today?
I think today I've learned to sink into the present moment. That would be something, you know, like being here with all of you. You know, we have talking points that we want to share, but when you sink in and you can throw a plan out the window and just be at a certain place. Sometimes I'm always 7 steps ahead of where I want to be, and sometimes not really like right here. So that's definitely something I'm taking away from today. Thank you for asking.
Beautiful. And then last one, how it has today added to the quality of the investments in your life?
I think getting reconnected to the power of UPW and leadership. You know, when we are putting today's content together. I mean, Bri, did you feel like you were reading some of this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like just because we work with TR doesn't mean that we're exempt from some of these things. So having the opportunity to share the content always helps me understand it at a deeper level. And so I feel like I'm a better leader and lover for having shared it today.
You are definitely a leader, KK. So we appreciate you for being on here and showing up the way that you do.
Love you, Brian.
Which leads me to this. If we're going to be leaders in our life, if we're going to show up, and when KK says you show up for others, and life is about giving, and life is about contributing, being more so that we can give more, we have to remember that leaders show up for who first? Themselves. They got to show up for themselves first, because we have to be able to get ourselves to do the things that we know we must do so that we can help other people grow. And if you want to walk, like must walk in those shoes before you teach someone else how to walk in those shoes, right? It'd be hard to teach our kids how to walk if we've never walked, right? And so the key is getting ourselves to take those actions every single day and using those tools that we have in our toolkit. So, KK, tell them a little bit about what is the makeup, what makes up a leader? What's the psychology of a leader?
Yeah, and this is important because Tony always says the quality of your life literally comes down to the level of leadership that you have for yourself. And you know, we are just at Business Mastery. If some of you actually were there that were on this call, and if you look at, let's talk about business is not just like a business. It's like a living organism. So the business of your life, you're running your life. You're the business of your family, the communities that you lead. It's like our whole life is kind of like each of you are your own enterprise, and 80% of your success in literally anything that you do exists in between your eyeballs right here. And it's the most important muscle in our body that we want to train and condition like a muscle, and that is your mindset. It's your psychology, and only 20% is the mechanics. So the chokehold that majority of people experience on their life is the skills and the mentality of the person in charge, the leader. And so what you said earlier, Brian, some people are thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not a leader. How am I on this call? I'm not a leader, what I'm doing. And it's like, we almost want to take you right now and shake you and give you a pattern interrupt and say, if you're not a leader, who's leading your life? Like, you're in charge. You're calling the shots. One of the things that drives me so crazy is when people are like, the stars are not aligned, or like it's not in the cards. And I'm like, who is stacking the deck of your life. Like, who is aligning your stars? Because when I learned from Tony, it's all about like, number one, what's the outcome? Get connected to the what, and you can figure out the why later. This element of leadership isn't something that like you're born with or without. It's a skill that's developed over time. In fact, most of you listening right now have probably taken on a bunch of leadership roles in your life. In the comments below, just share with Brian and I, what are some leadership roles you've taken on in your life?
Mm.
Give some examples, right? I lead a business. I'm a mom and I lead my household, or I'm a dad and I lead my household. I lead a community. Brian, what are some you have?
I lead workshops for Tony Robbins, so I'm a leader during those sessions. I'm a leader for my friends that are in my life. I'm a leader for the people who work with us at Tony Robbins. Every time I step in a room, there's some way that I can help influence someone else's life. I'm a leader for myself. Like
Yeah.
this morning, right? Like this morning, like I'm gonna be honest with you, the alarm went off. I was like, oh, should I hit the snooze button? And then I remind myself, like, no way. If I want to be a leader on this call for people, I gotta not hit the freaking snooze button. So I'm a leader for myself as well.
And you guys, you know, Tony is like the best leader that has ever existed on the planet. I mean, one amongst the best of them. But what he's done over the course of his career is that he's uncovered, like literally over 43 years. We told you guys earlier, he said there'd be a fool, you'd be a fool not to recognize that people run patterns. So he's found the best people in the world, and the leaders, he's called upon by other leaders of the world to help them lead. But how? It's because there's a science to it. There's only so many patterns that human beings run, and he's cracked the code. And he's learned, he's done every training in the book, every therapy in the book. At one point, he said, I'm going to read a book a day. He didn't do that, but he got pretty damn close. And he created this wealth and bank of knowledge and then simplified it. How many of you like simple? Tony says complexity is the enemy of execution. Ultimately, as a leader, you've got to keep it simple. Our number one responsibility as leaders right here, you and I, all of us together, is to focus on who can we serve. Be a giver, not a taker, right? 2 ways to be successful: add more value than anyone else in the community. And if you're a business owner, right, it's like create a raving fan community. So today, imagine the impact that you can have if you were empowered with the same skills and knowledge that Tony uses to do live interventions, like at UPW. How many of you remember the beautiful interventions literally at UPW that went down? Those were really, really big, right? Live interventions, leading someone to a conclusion, like helping somebody through a hard point in their life, turning around a company. All of those things that we do are leadership. Getting your kids to put their clothes on for school, leadership. You know, impacting the people you love the most in their life. Have you ever wanted something more for someone else than they've ever even wanted it for themselves? Hand up if yes. These things are because we have an innate desire inside of ourselves to lead others. So the second thing we want to cultivate today is the skill set of leading others. And we've been giving you like a bunch of tips and tools from Tony's Leadership Academy. But that is where we want to go today, to where we want to give you the first step of Leadership Academy, which we'll talk about in a second. But today is about understanding how can we first guide ourselves so that we can then guide other people. And we're going to learn some of the strategies and tools that Tony teaches humans from all over the world. He does it once a year where he breaks down everything into like the simplest way, which is how Brian and I learned. We want to share with you one of those tips today. Brian, anything to add?
Oh my God. So KK, I know you were the same way. Like I went to UPW, and after I was done with UPW, I was like, what just happened? And if you're anything like me, you kind of got like star eyes and you're like, is Tony human? Like how is he able to take someone who's depressed or upset or angry and turn them around in moments or minutes or hours? He'll do whatever it takes. And I remember just being amazed. I was like, how did he do it? The natural question is like, how did he do it? And it's easy to say like he's done it for 43 years, or he's some guru and And Tony will be the first one to tell you why he's putting in the work, and that's what's it got him to be the best of the best in the world. He's also made it extremely simple. There are 7 steps that you can do to turn around almost anyone and be a leader and help them create more, do more, love more, give more. And the first one is understanding and appreciating their model of the world. And when you get this one and this one clicks, everything changes. What do I mean by that? Well, do you have someone in your life, and I know you do, that like you cannot get through to them? Like they drive you nuts. Raise your hand if you have someone or a group of people who have just like you can't break through. Whether it's your kid, you got that one kid. Like if you got a house full of kids, you got 5 kids, there's always that one, right? Or if you're like KK and she's got her dog, like Harlow doesn't probably always do what he's supposed to do. Or maybe it's someone at work, or maybe it's your parents, or maybe it's some of your staff. Like you have someone in your life, you're like, I've tried everything. Who here's ever been like this? And I can't get through to this human being. Now, Tony says that leaders, they don't influence just people that are like themselves, but they're able to influence people who may not be like themselves. We all have different models of the world, and we know this to be true. You know this to be true. But Tony's shared with you at UPW, we all have 6 human needs, and we all have different belief structures, and we ask different questions based on our experiences of life and the meaning that we've given to those experiences. And so I'll give you 2 examples of human beings. You may have someone in your organization who's an extrovert, maybe a salesperson in your organization. And then you got another group, they might be coders, or they might be someone who does those smaller those other tasks that are massive implementations in your team. But one's very good at communication, the other one's a little bit more introverted, right? They're the 2 very important people in your life with very different skill sets. And one of these people can look at the other and be like, I don't understand how to communicate with this other human being. Well, how do you do it? You understand what already drives them. You already understand what moves them, right? Like if I wanted to influence KK right now, it's clear as day to see that her mother and her family and baby Harlow, that dog that she's got right by her leg, if you talk about them, you can see her light up. Look at her beautiful smile. So knowing that that's what lights up KK, I must find what drives her already. I must find what already influences her. Her parents, the dog, okay, how can I use things that are already influencing KK to help move the needle, as KK would say, a little bit further? So a couple ways that we would do that. Yeah, please jump in.
Just a hot second on that is you might be wondering right now, like what Brian's diving into is like there's the 7 steps to create maximum change, and not only in others, but also in yourself. But these 7 steps are the 7 steps that Tony's used to turn around. Like during COVID, he now has over 70 companies. Like how is he turning around these companies? How is he doing live interventions in front of 40,000 people in an event? How is he leading a team to create revenue? How is he guiding families, or even one-on-one when Brian and I get to sit down? It's like, I feel like I get out of that call and I'm like, I could do anything. It's like, how is he getting people to do this? And you might literally be either listening to Brian right now and being like, well, it's Tony though. Like, that's Tony. He's literally simplified the process into 7 steps. And when he's saying like what already drives KK, you already know this. You learned this at UPW, those 6 human needs. Drop them in the comments if you guys remember them, because those human needs are the same for everybody. But you have something called your driving forces. And that is what we want to lean into, because everyone's 6 human needs they have different orders, but there's like about 2 or 3 that are most important to them. And when you looked at yourself at UPW, you walked in with one need and you walked out with another, right? We reorganized those. And so I just wanted to share that right now. It's like you don't have to take wild guesses. You literally know the need structure. Everyone has 6, and the people you're influencing in your life, whether drop us in the comment box right now. How many of you are leading your teams, you're leading your companies, you're leading your families? Like, do you have people you lead? Let us know in the comments below. And second, can you kind of see what their need structure is? Is it significance? Is it certainty? Is it uncertainty? Is it contribution? Is it love and connection? Okay, Brian, back to you.
Yeah, totally. And I appreciate you doing that because this is Tony's got 7 full steps. And if we had 7 days, we would teach you all seven. Like we're trying to give you the nuts and bolts really quick. And so this one, and it changed my life because KK and I are both in sales and we both also speak to companies. So influence is critical. And I'm sure it is
Yeah.
for you as well. And so understanding and appreciating their model of the world, not seeing them the way that you want to see them, but seeing them in the way that they show up, right?
Mhm.
So oftentimes when we say we've tried everything to lead someone, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. BS. There is a way. There is something
Mhm.
driving that human being. If they have air in their lungs, if they are breathing and their heart is still ticking, something is driving that human being. And if there's something driving them, it may not be the same drivers that drive you. And
Yes.
oftentimes, human beings, we put ourselves first and we say, I'm going to try and influence this person the way that I already influenced them. I'll give you an example, right? For me, if you, we talk about different love languages, right? Like for me, acts of service are the thing. Like if someone does something nice for me, I light up like a Christmas tree, right? And in my life, I have relationships in my life that if I do something kind for them, it's like, no big deal. But if I give them a gift, oh my God, they light up like their Christmas tree. And so we have to find what drives those human beings. And it's so silly, but like sometimes I'll walk out of just a gas station with like a little Hershey's Kiss, just one. And that will change someone's entire day because that's what drives them, not what drives me. And so oftentimes if we're not breaking through as a leader, it's because we're trying to influence people in the way that we want to be influenced, but not in the way that they want to be influenced. And so understanding and appreciating their model of the world, and their model of the world is their 6 human needs, their driving forces, the questions that they ask themselves every day, the belief structures that they have, the patterns that they have. Now, Tony breaks these down. If you want to be a part of a program, like he'll break it down in very specifically. But if I can give you this one golden nugget that you can walk away with today in your life, if you're having like that stalling moment or you feel like you're hitting a wall with someone, ask yourself the question, what is driving them? What questions do they ask? How can I step into their model of the world, whether they're a man or a woman, or whether they're young or old? You have to ask yourself all the driving things that make up this beautiful human being that's standing in front of you. So understanding and appreciating
That's
them, and then finding out
right.
what influences them and give it to them. Give them what they want, not what
Yes.
you want. So the key is, and I know you've gotten into these moments, like if you've gotten frustrated with someone and you haven't broken through them, and you want to give them what they want, give them what drives them, that gift. If I wanted to give a gift to KK right now, I would just start talking about her baby Harlow. And I would say that cute little thing has got little curls that go right over his eyes, and she'll light up like a Christmas tree. And by just talking about that, it starts to change her physiology, change the way she feels, and then you can lead. So, go ahead, KK. I know you have
No,
something juicy to say.
I just love that. And you guys, I've seen Brian in action. He's just, what he's sharing with you is exactly true. If there's anyone in your life, like what we've learned today, just we're going to recap because in a second we're going to bring on one of the best leaders that I've truly ever known, one of Tony's dear friends, leads companies, leads teams, best-selling author, has gone from broke to millionaire, multiple companies, has been involved in 13 plus, either owning, building them, creating them, or being involved in them. And all of this stems from, like Tony always says, leaders, you're not born a leader. Most of you aren't a leader. That's how we develop leadership skills, like developing leadership skills. But it's finding out like what excites someone, what drives someone, what are their passions, what are their fears, what are their motivations, what do they want. So Brian just
Mm,
said, want. Your job as a leader is to identify what someone wants without judging them. To judge them, you will never influence them. And there's so much, Brian, we could go on for 14 hours because this is step number 1 of 7. And how many of you are just seeing value simply from this alone? Hand up, right? Like you try to influence your kids to eat their vegetables, but they might not want that. They might want something else, and you can still serve their need by giving them what they want. Like if we try to push another need that's not theirs onto someone, will never break through. And
mm,
so this is identifying what they want, And then why aren't you getting what you want? And if you're asking yourself that right now, like, oh my gosh, KK, Brian, I do know what I want. Why am I not getting what I want? Well, there's steps that you take to uncovering that pain, that pleasure. It's like that CD, these patterns. We want to scratch that CD to break the pattern. This is what being a leader is all about. And we definitely want to invite you today to start to be really conscious of the way you not only lead yourself, but the way you verbally, energetically, and emotionally lead the people around you. So there's no one better in the world to bring up at this moment right now. And Brian, before I do that, did you have anything else to share on that?
I want to give them one thing that you said that I think if they walk away with this, it could literally change their entire week. And you said this thing, push versus pull, or pull versus push. Yeah. And if we could help you, if Tony was looking at us right now and say, what is one golden nugget we can give before his partner Dean comes on? It's, you want to pull human beings, not push them, right? If you think about pushing, it feels like strain, because you're trying to push your ideas, you're trying to push your concepts on you, you're trying to force. Whereas pulling feels like this natural movement, and pulling someone is that, like, giving them what they want and then pulling them in that direction. So just think about that concept as you go throughout the week and throughout the month, is how can I pull this person in the direction they already want to go versus push them? So anyways, there's my golden nugget.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Okay, so right now, right here, we are going to bring up one of the ethical influencer that I know, somebody that you guys is just a good human being. When you connected with him at UPW, just so real, so authentic, so genuine, so committed to serving in this world. Someone that has literally been, I think at one point he was like sleeping in a bathroom somewhere and built a company. So like, you know his story, he's taken you somewhere, and he knows what it looks like to engage in a Tony Robbins program for a first time. And a lot of you, maybe this was your first time. And then he took that and built an empire with it that serves human beings. He contributes to humans. He's been dear friends with Tony for over 25 years. Between the two of them, they have so many years in the self-education business together. He's one of his partners, one of his dearest friends, author, keynote speaker. He spoke to you guys in the last day of UPW. It's Dean Graziosi. And before I call him up here to speak with us, you know the drill. We've got to be in a peak state to welcome him to the screen. So I want you guys just to put Dean in the comment box below. Take your pen out. He dug up a training that he gave a long time ago. And we literally said, do you think you could get this training? And he's giving it to you right now. So without waiting any longer, let's bring up the man himself, Dean Graziosi.
What's up, everybody? Hey, KK. Hey, Brian. You guys are crushing it. UPW family, what's happening? You know, I was thinking about it. This has been such a crazy couple of months that the world has gone virtual, and we've been doing these trainings to empower people when they need it the most, right? And I've aligned with Tony and some of my stuff and his stuff. I may have seen you at UPW, maybe at Business Mastery, maybe during the Comeback Challenge, maybe the Build Your Brand Challenge. So I'm so glad you're here. And I want to deliver something today that was different, but also so important, especially in a time when the world needs leaders, right? Let's just be honest. We need role models. We need leaders more than ever before in history. So what makes up a leader? Oh my God, a million things. I was trying to think of what would be the most impactful thing I could share with you today during this implementation, during this, like, let's take everything we learned from UPW and let's put it in play. Because sometimes, and I'm not trying to be like, I'm just being honest. Sometimes we get a little addicted to the learning. Like, we love the way it makes us feel, especially Tony. I mean, I still watch Tony and I get mesmerized. Like, him and I are partners and we'll do something. I'll find myself like, staring, and I get mesmerized. So I love the feeling it gives me. I love the learning, but sometimes it doesn't equate to the actions that we need to actually move the needle. True, right? You guys know it's true. Let me know below, right? So think about this. We know that if we want to get from where we are to where we want to go, we have to have next level thinking. Did you ever hear that? I think they use it in AA. I've never been a part of AA, dear friend that went through it, but I think AA says your best thinking got you here. So we know if we want to take our life, our abundance, our income, our happiness, our joy, our relationships, our health to the next level, we want to go from where we are to where we want to go. And to get there, we need next level thinking. But sometimes we get the next level thinking, we get the capabilities, and then we want the next level results, right? Don't we? Like, I went through the course, I felt inspired, I get it, give me the results, right? But the one thing that we're missing that's so important in the middle is the word action. It's the next level action, right? If we want next level results, we need next level thinking. But we got to take next level action and implement in the middle. And that's why today, short, powerful, to the point. And how do leaders go to another level? Is they know how to replace being busy with being productive. And today I wanted to go through a training that I did a few years ago, and I haven't done it in a long time. And it's all based on my life. It's all based on the things that I've used to go faster, right? Listen, let's just say it like it is. We want to be more successful. You wouldn't be here. You want to be happier. You want to have more time, more freedom, more control, right? So if we want those things, we got to make other adjustments, right? I'll give you an example in my life. I love being a dad that's truly engaged, right? I coached my kids until quarantine, until this pandemic. I coached my kids for Little League. I coached my daughter for softball. I didn't just go to the games. I went to every practice. I pick my kids. I have my kids exactly half the time. And I pick my kids up from school. School's going back in. They're going back next week. But every day at 3 o'clock, I'm outside, no matter what. So I want to run my multiple companies. I want to be here with you. I want to write books. I want to be on stage and impact with Tony. I want to do the things that in my companies and work. I want to do all that stuff. Well, simultaneously, I want to be a good husband. I love my wife so much. I'm just saying it like it is, and I want to be there for her. That's how you maintain a good relationship. I want to be able to listen and be a good dad. How do you fit it all in? And that's why I thought what I was going to share with you today is most important. Leaders know how to be beyond not just busy, but be productive, because we're all busy. I don't think there's any of you watching me right now saying, I just got 5 hours a day. I don't know what to do with myself. Dean, Tony, KK, Brian, tell me what to do. No, we have stuff to do. But I guess the question is, are the things you're working on actually moving the needle in your life, or just keeping you busy? Because we can get on the treadmill of life and always be running, but never get anywhere. It's almost like being on a treadmill and it's on number 7 and you need to get downtown. So instead of getting off the treadmill and being productive and moving, you just put the treadmill up to 9. You're going faster, 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 but you're still running in place. So how many of us have felt like we're running in place, right? Running in place for too long. We want to keep moving forward. So I want to give you a little training, again, that I put together a few years ago based on the way I look at moving the needle, about being massively productive, like hardcore productivity. So you guys ready for that? You guys ready? Come on. Tell me, I wish we were all in one big room, but we're here. So I'm coming to you from my house right now. And I got this technology going. I'm doing okay. That is my grandmother. That's my grandmother and me when I was little. She was one of my most favorite people in the world. Oh, that's my kids behind me. This was something my grandfather had. Anyway, this is my home office. Okay. You're like, Dean, I didn't care about any of that. But I wanted to share with you anyway, just to let you know. Okay, so I want you to think about this. We're going to talk about leaders know how to be productive, not just busy. We're all busy, but how do you move the needle? And I got 11 slides here that I created probably 3 years ago. Don't think I've shared them much in those 3 years. Fired them up, tweaked them a little, and this is for you. Number 1, binary thinking. And what the hell does that mean? Okay, binary thinking. Binary code is ones and O's. It's very black and white. There's no gray. So I got a couple things here. It's you either get ones or you get zeros. It's absolutes. So I want you to think in absolutes, like no gray area, okay? So let me give you some examples of binary thinking. You're either climbing or you're sliding. No hovering, no it's okay, no in between. Climbing or sliding. There's only 2 activities. Things that move the needle in your life and things that don't move the needle. People, they're either in or they're out. There's activity. There's activity that either drains you or energizes you. It's either a yes or a no. It's either victory or death. Burn the boats. So what does that mean? It's like, so I'm obviously setting you up for something to really make hardcore decisions, because here's one thing we all have. We all have 24 hours in a day. Like, how does one person seem to get so much done? Did they invent a time machine and they actually got 36 hours in a day? Or do they know how to say no? Do they know how to look through a lens of black and white? It either moves the needle in my life, it takes me towards a bigger future, more income, more happiness, more joy, better health, better connection, better intimacy, or it moves me away from a better version of me, more money, more happiness. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but when you start looking through the lens of binary thinking, it's either yes or a no. It either does or it doesn't. So here's productivity habit number 1. The big, ugly questions you got to ask yourself. Is this situation or the relationship I'm in moving me forward or backwards? Again, this is pretty harsh. This is binary thinking, right? We're not giving you any gray here. And I know you can't go from one extreme to another, but if you can go more towards black and white and less gray in your life, gray are the things that eat up the time. Gray is when you go online and get sucked into hours of surfing when you shouldn't. Gray is hanging out with the people that put you in a bad place and drain your energy and don't charge you up, to make you question yourself, doubt yourself, ding your confidence, and don't feel like you can move forward. Gray is when you're with a friend that says, oh, stop eating like a bird, eat the burger and stop complaining. It's your single friend telling you, oh, your relationship, he's just not right for you. She's not doing the right thing. You should move on. It's your broke friend telling you how to get wealthy. And it doesn't cause you to stop. It causes you to go into the gray. And I'm just going to encourage you today to ask these big, ugly questions to stay out of the gray. Life is moving too fast. We only have this one life. At least that's what we know. We might as well squeeze all the juice out of it. So what's some other big, ugly questions? Am I simply busy, or am I being productive? Ooh, that's one you got to ask yourself every day. That one can sting. Oh my God, can that sting? Does this activity make me money, make me happy, force me to grow? I mean, listen, there's other criteria besides making money, being happy, and forced to grow, but you set that criteria. And when you're doing something, you say to yourself, does this activity take me towards where I want to go? And remember what we said? Either yes or no. Try to get rid of the maybes. Okay, here's a good one. Ready for this one? This will really mess with you. You've heard this before. Who does it better than Tony Robbins? But you're here with me right now. And I want to share the things that have moved the needle in my life. If I keep doing these habits, where will I be in 5 or 10 years from now? Just think, if you don't get massively productive, if you keep running on the treadmill, if you keep missing that next level opportunity because you're letting the wrong distractions come in, then where are you going to be in 5 or 10 years? And how's that going to feel when you look back and realize you missed another half a decade, or you missed a whole decade, right? Overwhelm. That's the next thing we kind of lead towards. It's like, okay, I'm getting it, Dean, I feel it, but I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I have too much going on. But overwhelm's a part of a bigger problem. So let's just talk about it. Again, I'm going back to something I took days and days to create this when I wanted to create productivity mastery. That's what I called this, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. But overwhelm has symptoms such as lack of clear-cut objectives, which really means clarity. When people tell me they are too busy, I just say, you're not clear. And what does that mean? You don't know how to say no to the things that don't serve you, God, your bigger future, your family, your friends, your money, your happiness, your joy. You're saying yes to too many things. You're in like a hypnotic rhythm of things you used to do, but the things that you used to do got you to where you were, but you want to go to another level, so you have to say no to the things you used to do so you can go someplace else, and that requires clarity. So where is it that you really want to go? And the things that don't serve where you want to go need to go away. Black or white. Not an easy thing. This is how you get there. Lack of clearly defined time targets, deadlines, right? You say, I'm going to tap into that course. I'm going to read that course. And I'm going to start that new business. When? Well, I'm going to get to it. Doesn't work. I'm going to finally start focusing on the marketing and sales of my business because it's been neglected. When? I'm going to get to it. No. that ain't never gonna work. You need a deadline and a time frame, and you need to schedule it with targeted deadlines. Like the world is gonna collapse if you don't get it done, because it really is. You're gonna just go right back to where you were, right? Doesn't mean your life is horrific, but if you wanna stay where you are, then keep doing what you're currently doing or make deadlines. The third one is lack of focus. You're easily distracted. Like, you know what? I'm working on marketing today. Let me do it. Let me just check my Facebook account, see how many likes I got on that picture. Oh, look at TikTok. My kids don't know I'm on TikTok, but that one's funny. Oh, you know what? I might as well check that one thing on Instagram, and let me check my bank account. Oh my God, 2 hours have gone by. All right, let me go grab dinner. Maybe I'll do it later. Focus. We must focus on the things that allow us to move the needle, to get us in flow state. When you're in flow state and you're focused and you say no to everything else, no to all the distractions, that's when you condense time. You know, Tony always talks about condensing decades into days, but I believe you could condense days into hours when you're focused and in flow. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know those days in 2 hours you get more done than you know your friends got done in a week? I know that because you're here. You're a part of UPW. You know that. You get that. But what if you could do that more often? What if that could be a regular routine for you? The next one is lack of a system for productivity. Productivity doesn't just happen. You have to schedule it. You have to create a system. Like, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, maybe the next slide or two. But I set my day up for productivity. I have a system. I have a morning routine. If I follow it, I'm massively productive. If I don't follow it, I mess up my day. What is your system? Do you just hope you're going to be productive in a day? Do you just hope you're going to do the things that move the needle? Do you keep hoping that you'll get to the marketing, get to the sales, get to the startup, get to the scaling, get to firing the person you should have fired, getting to hire the person you should, or making the relationship better? Are you hoping it happens? Or do you have a system to be productive, to make sure it happens? Right? Lack of learning from the right people. Ooh, well, you're not guilty of that because you're here. You're learning from KK, Brian, myself. I think I just patted myself on the back. But really what I want to say is like an extension of Tony, right? You're learning from the best person on the planet. You're learning to be a leader. And continuing that education allows you to learn from someone who's already been there. Why figure it out on your own? Why figure it out through trial and error? What are you going to go back to college? Like that's not where you learn. You learn from people who've already navigated the path, right? If you've never been through winter, learn from someone like Tony and myself that you've been through winter, a down economy or a shift or market. Like, don't learn it on your own because the world is moving so fast you can't keep up. By the time you learn the 2.0 version, it's already on the 3.0, right? So learn from people who've already been there. These are all a result of a lack of discipline. Ooh, discipline. That's a hard word, right? I want to tell you something. I hated discipline. I hated that word as a kid. Like, discipline meant to me like I had to follow someone's rules. Like I had to abide by what someone else created. Honestly, to this day, that still freaks me out. I don't know about you. I don't like following rules. I can't. Like, it drives me crazy. But I've learned to convert what discipline means to me into something completely different. Discipline is not like rules, structure, follow me. Discipline is disciplining yourself to be the best version of you, to be massively productive. Discipline, ready for this? Your life is the sum total of your days. Duh, I get that. But your days are the sum total of your daily actions. Doesn't matter what your life is the sum total of what you do in a day. But your day is really the sum total of the actions you take within that day. And your daily actions are the result of your daily habits. You could say habits, discipline, but what are your habits? And here's the big question. Do you have $1 million habits or dollar habits? Do you have habits for intimacy, passion, and happiness in your relationship? Or do you have habits that drive you apart? Do you have habits that put you in incredible shape and feeling good and alive with the right mental focus? Or do you have habits that make you feel, lazy and lethargic and like a procrastinator and not clear thoughts, right? It's as crazy as this sounds, we have to cultivate discipline in our life. Now I'm looking at my next slide here. We have to figure out the stuff that actually is important, that moves the needle, like I said earlier. We have to decide, You ready for my brilliance? I'm just gonna blurt it out here. We have to decide to do those things. Okay, we have to figure out the things that move the needle and then consciously decide and schedule to do those things. We have to schedule our day. And I don't mean a planner every hour, but if you're gonna move the needle in your life, whether you want to do that in your relationship, in your health, with your income, with your company, the company you want to start, you have to figure out what could actually make it happen, like marketing in your company, like connection in your relationship, like changing your diet and exercising if it's in your health. You have to decide what actually moves the needle. You have to schedule it in that day. And this is the deep one. You guys ready? I don't know if you'll get it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being funny. I'm trying to be. You have to stick to the damn schedule. Right? We have to stick to the damn schedule. And here's the next piece is we have to put, and I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. We have to put deadlines. We have to schedule and put deadlines. So if you say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, I'm going to create more intimacy, I'm going to start the business. By when? Set a deadline. Take that uncomfortable action to set the deadline in your life. So listen, we all want to keep score, right? You wouldn't play baseball when you were a kid if somebody didn't keep score. It excites you. You know when the game is over. You know you want to get the highest score. It's the same thing in life. We got to set a schedule. We got to set an end game. We got to set a time we're going to be done. It's like keeping score of yourself, and you know if you're actually winning, right? The last piece of this is mindset, and we know, and you have the master of masters, Tony Robbins, who taught you with UPW on mindset. But every day, I want to tell you, I set it up for success. Each day, I set my day up for success. And there's 3 types of days you can have. And you should write this down. Insecure and afraid to attack anything. That's like all the way on one side. And then there's that one in the middle where you're in a good enough mood and you're not falling behind. And then there's another day that could be on fire, courageous, confident, and you're taking control. So what are the things you can do to set up your day to feel that way, to play offense for the day, not be in defense, right? You can't win a game by simply playing defense, waiting for the shoe to fall, waiting for the bad email to come in, waiting for your team to mess up, waiting for your wife or your husband or somebody you have to say something so you can fix it. Like so many of us, because we're so busy, we find we end up playing defense when the only way to take your life to the next level is offense. Now, whether you're priming or you're doing 15 minutes to thrive that Tony taught, or you create a day that just works for you. You know, I have to tell you, from all the things I've learned from Tony over 2 decades ago and other great people, my morning is pretty simple to set my day up for success. I open my eyes. First thing I do is not check my phone. If I check my phone, that could put me in a little bit of defense. Could be that wrong email, that bad message. I don't want to take that chance. But what I do is I think of one thing I'm grateful for. And it's usually like low hanging, like I'm next to my amazing wife. The sheets feel good. The pillow was comfy. I slept good. Just something to put me in that frame of mind. Thank God. Thank that it's raining. Thank that it's sunny out, right? Next thing I do is I think about a win I had from the day before. Like, what's something I accomplished? It could be personal. My wife looked at me in a way that I know how much she loves me. Or I did something for her. Or me and my son connected. Or I finished the book, wrote the thing, did a live training. Like, whatever it is, I think of one thing I accomplished the day before. Then I think of something I want to accomplish that day. And it puts my mind in this abundant, confident, grateful mindset. And then for me, I walk out into the kitchen and I pound a green drink, a little lemon, a little green powder. I pound that and then I go exercise. That's usually about 5:30 in the morning. You don't have to do what I do, but that's my discipline. That's my routine. That's my habit to be a leader so I can be an intentional leader. That I can be someone who works on productivity, not just on being busy. So I can be a good example, be a good friend, be a good husband, be a good father, be a good teammate. Listen, you're here because you want another level. There's a lot of people who talk about it. The reason I respect you and admire you the most, you're not a talker, you're a doer. You went to UPW. You're here for this implementation training, and you're ready for the next level. So that's why I spent the time. That's why I dug up this productivity training that I did ages ago, and I wanted to give you that today. So I want you to think about this at a high level. We're all busy. None of us have 5 hours that we don't know what to do with ourselves, but our time is being filled but is it being filled by the right stuff? Is it being filled by the things that move the needle in your life? Is it being filled with the people who inspire you and charge your batteries, or the people who demotivate you and make you feel drained? Are you setting the time? Are you scheduling it? Are you having too many gray thoughts when you need to be more black and white? Is it moving my life? Am I climbing, or am I sliding, or am I just hovering? There's no such thing as hovering. Like, go black and white, binary thinking, and then make some habits. Create some discipline that sets your day up for success. Hey guys, I appreciate spending this time with you. You're so amazing. You're gonna go right back to KK and Brian. Are they awesome or what? Thank you for just deciding to do more. And at this phase of my life, I haven't always been right here where I'm at, but this phase of my life, that's the gift. Like, you want to give me a gift, you want to say thank you. I appreciate thank yous. I appreciate when people go to my Instagram and leave me these incredible messages, but how you can thank me the most is just go out and do this. I didn't share something with you today I just made up so I could talk and ramble for a half hour. I shared with you some of the things that have actually moved the needle in my life. To go from that broke kid with dyslexia, living in a trailer park, wishing and envious of other people getting ahead, to someone who's been able to do more things than I ever thought possible, to be in the greatest love of my life, to love being a dad, to have a thriving business, to partner with my dear friend Tony, who changed my life 20 years ago. And all I can say is, if I can do it, you can do it. And some of the things I shared with you today are so simple, you already know it, but maybe it's time to really implement it. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Back to you, KK and Brian. Bye, guys.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Brian, are you watching the comments here?
They are going berserko. I love you guys. I saw Stephanie in there. I see so many people absolutely crushing it in those comments. I love it, guys.
Let's say thank you to Dean. Dean, we love you. Every time you teach us, like, we're over here just taking notes right alongside you, because binary thinking, my goodness, we can get so in the middle zone when it really can be that easy to just make a call, make a decision. What'd you get from that, Brian?
I got that Dean was demonstrating how much of a leader he is by leading with his heart. Like, the reason that I wanted to listen to every word that Dean was saying is, like, you can tell that he was so connected and he felt it, and he wanted to help you. Right? As he was speaking, he was like, he wanted to help you, and he wants us to grow and to expand, and he wants us to actually take the action. I think it's so important. Sometimes we forget that we loop things around up here long enough, but at some point we got to actually do the thing. So, Dean, thank you so much, brother.
So everyone's saying, Dean, you're amazing. We love you, Dean. Thanks a million. Thanks a million. This is exactly what I needed today. And when you guys, let's just like put a bow on top of this experience today. It's that you have an immersive experience, right? You have a full day, a four-day, 50-hour immersive experience, and it's like jumping in both feet into the deep end of a pool, and then you get out. And then we have to create this consistency, these consistent wins. But what the power of what Dean just taught you is that everything we shared you today about being a leader and influencing yourself and influencing other people, it's making a decision that this is a commitment for you. It's not just like an event you went to and training you got on today. This is a lifestyle. Are you there, Brian?
And be it. Yeah. I was just in awe of what you're saying. You're bringing so much energy. It makes me want to just jump out of my seat and take action and dive all in.
Cool. Okay, well, to wrap today, you guys, I want to give you all of the information. We have this event, Leadership Academy. Today was all about leadership, and in the spirit of this event happening in 34 days, we have been jamming behind the scenes like crazy with Tony, with the most incredible human beings on our team that press all the smart buttons and make all the magic happen. We are bringing Leadership Academy virtual, and it is in 34 days from today. So Brian and I are going to do all of the patterns and habits we taught you today. We're starting tomorrow morning, tonight, with our evening questions for 34 days straight to celebrate leading up to Leadership Academy. We're going to be doing these patterns and habits every single day. So if you guys are down for a 34-day push with your guy, Brian, look at him, for God's sakes. It's Brian, everybody. I said it's Brian. If you to do this with us together, I want you guys to just put I'm in the comment box. We're going to do it for 34 days. Feed your mind, strengthen your body, the cold shower if you want to, practice gratitude. Just put I'm in the comment box.
Boom, boom, boom. I know there's some people on the other side of the camera right now who are like, a commitment. I know I need to do it. I know it's good for me. Rip off the Band-Aid and make it happen. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you just got to dive all in, understand the opportunity in front of you. And the opportunity is to challenge yourself and to become the leader in your own life. And we can't wait to support you on this 34-day journey.
Amazing. Okay, so at the end of 34 days, we are actually beginning Tony's Leadership Academy event. In my personal opinion, I mean, to take it for what it is, this is my true favorite tactical event that we have, with the skill sets of how to not only learn leadership, but execute leadership in your relationships with your family. So for all of you right now, like you are wanting your next dose of Tony, you want your next event, or you just don't know what it is, there's a bunch of you on here and you're all at different places, just take a pen out. I'm gonna give you guys literally every single detail you could possibly desire, need, or want about Leadership Academy. It's an event that only happens once a year, and it is a private event. I mean, especially now that it's virtual, because we only have so many spaces on the virtual Zoom setting. We are working with Zoom to get more, but it's an intimate event, okay? This is the only event in the world. It's like the only time Tony shares his tools, strategies, skill sets, tips for truly executing leadership. It's how he teaches influence. It's so that you can understand and embody what the blueprint of a leader truly is. You know how to get the best results out of people, how Tony does what he does. Brian earlier shared, sometimes you're like, oh my God, it's Tony. How is he doing these interventions? And how is he training these companies and pivoting it and turning it around? This is the event where he breaks all of that into 7 steps. Okay, so grab your pen. I'm going to walk you guys through. Brian, did you have anything to add there?
It's so amazing. I'm telling you what, after walking out of UPW, I was like, oh my God, I want to learn what this man does. I want to learn how he can get through to anyone. I was like, how can I implement this at work? How can I implement this in my family? How can I implement this in my relationships? And I was like, I want to learn. And then I found out that Tony isn't this like guru. He is the guru, but he doesn't go by the guru. He has a simplified process, and that's what Leadership Academy was. So when I went the first time, I was blown away at the tools and strategies that Tony shared me. So you guys, like, listen to the words that KK has to say right now, because you have a unique opportunity in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, so the dates are October 8th through 11th. So I would jot that down. It's a virtual event, full immersion. You guys know the drill. It's going to be in our virtual studio that Tony built. And over the 4 days of the training, the fundamental thing that you are doing is you're creating the identity of a leader, someone that can help anyone no matter what challenge that they might be facing. And today you learned the first step of being able to do that, which pop quiz is what? Understand and appreciate their model of the world, right? We want to help you help others get the best out of themselves, but these tools and skill sets are also what Tony utilizes on himself. So often he gives that analogy of he wakes up in the morning and he doesn't really want to walk and jump into the cold plunge, but he's like, I don't negotiate with my mind. I say we go, we go. It's like, how does he actually take himself to that place of execution? And he's leading him and he's leading others. And that's an identity that we want to really, truly embody. So there's a few skill sets that are covered. And by the way, you guys, this program is for those of you that want to answer the call to lead at a deeper level, to be a greater influencer, to lead your families, your communities. Like, this is for specifically for you that want to take your leadership to another level. So some of the more tactical skills, which is what I wanted to know when I went to leadership, was number 1, the skill set of effective communication. Like, how many people do you know that just cannot communicate what they want to say? The most important thing that you can do is use your language that you have to communicate your point and say it with confidence, purpose, and power. Second, deep-seated connection. Write that word down, connection. An example that I've heard Tony share numerous times is when you walk into a party or a club or a bar, right? And you meet somebody and you just hit it off. And it's like you've known them for your entire life. Like, that's how Brian and I were when we first met each other. We both joined the Tony Robbins team. And we have a lot of people on our team. Brian and I just, best buds, great pals. And how does that happen? We've never known each other. We grew up on different sides of the world, but immediate sense of connection. almost like you've known them forever. And like, imagine if you were able to do that with anyone that you meet. Would that be able to change your current skill set in terms of influence and leadership? Brian, I feel something from you. Did you have another thing there? Something to
It's
say?
everything. It's everything. Like the ability to connect with someone, but not just people who are like you, who are not like you, will
Yeah.
absolutely change your results in life. And I think it's one of the biggest gifts that I've gotten from being with Tony and going to leadership was my ability to connect with people, even people who are not like me. Because if we're going to build something great, we must go together. And having different people with different skill sets may be different than you, but being able to get them on your team and drive forward is unbelievable. The skill set.
Beautiful. Okay, the next little bucket that I want to share with you guys today, we want to share with you, Tony wants to share with you, is the skill sets of persuasion and empowerment. So oftentimes you hear words like persuasion and sales or skills or influence, and there's connotations associated to them that's actually not connected to empowerment. What Tony's going to show you how to do as a leader is how to inspire someone for their reasons, where they feel motivated toward what they want. That's what a true leader can do, can help you see your own vision. Okay, and then next up is the ability to actually motivate people, conquer setbacks, create an inspired team, ultimately just impact your own life and the life of others. So if you're wondering right now, okay, where am I going to apply this to in my life? Just answer yes in the comments below if this is you. Are you a business owner? Are you a manager that wants to move up in ranking? Are you a mother? Are you a homeschool teacher right now? And you're teaching people through a laptop, or you rented out a space, right? Are you in a relationship? Are you a coach? Are you a speaker? Do you aspire to be one of those things? Do you want to be a more effective communicator because you're a teacher and you're in front of a classroom and you're molding the minds of young people? Are you an account executive? And your job is to sit down with other businesses, companies, virtually right now in COVID, and paint a picture, inspire them, take them to an outcome. Truly, leadership is for every single person. It's a 4-day event, and the 4 days are split up. I think these are incredible titles for the 4 days, and I want you guys to write these down so you just have them somewhere. Day 1 is called The Psychology of a Leader. And this is really important because we learned today, Brian, that what % of your success is psychology?
80%.
80%. It's everything. And so this is the day that you're really going to master the identity. Like all 4 days are going to wrap up in this identity, the embodying of a leader. Tony being able to show and demonstrate to you how he does what he does so you can create your own version of that. He always says, like, I'm me and you're you, and we're all going to contribute to the world in our own unique and special way. But that's a psychology that you have. Okay, day 2 is the navigation of change, disruption, pivots, adjustments. How are you going to navigate change? Day 3 is creating transformation. I want you guys to think of day 3 like a CD. Let's say your favorite CD with your favorite musician, like let's say Hootie and the Blowfish. I don't know where that came from, but who remembers Hootie and the Blowfish, right? And so you're playing Hootie and the Blowfish. That's one of my childhood memories. We would always play Hootie on the CD. And you're playing Hootie on the Blowfish, but let's say instead of that song, it was a pattern that you ran, or it was a pattern that one of your employees was demonstrating, or someone on your team. Has anyone just been showing up lately at work with a certain thing, and you can just tell as a leader, and it's almost like you just can't break through to them, and it's like, how do I support them? Well, all that is a pattern. It's an emotional pattern. It's a thought pattern. It's a feeling pattern. And in order to disrupt the pattern, we need to basically take that CD, replace Hootie and the Blowfish with whatever pattern they're running, and you scratch it, and you scratch it, and you scratch it. So as devastating as it is, I'd put Hootie into play, and it's not going to play the same song because we've actually created a transformation. And so this 3rd day, transformation day, is really where you step into who you are as a leader. And then day 4 is all about expanding your toolbox. You guys, there are so many tools you are going to learn when you go to this event. Some of you already know some of these things. Some of you don't know them yet, but it's things like neuroassociative conditioning. All right, that's what Tony created after he studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's the way that you use your words and the syntax and the orders that you use them so you can inspire a team. Think like a team meeting. Think like you're sitting down having a one-on-one conversation with someone, or a one-to-many conversation. What language are you using? How can you support somebody? So you've got NAC, neuro-linguistic programming, a simple persuasion, your nonverbal communication. We have like Navy SEALs that come in and teach this stuff. It's like insane what they've done. We have people from the FBI to CIA, all these different types of speakers that are going to come in and teach you about simple nonverbals, almost like a field book for how to read somebody with just their body language. And then finally, there's an element of motivational coaching. And I just need to disrupt the pattern of you thinking that you're going to become like a motivational speaker. Just no. Tony would hate that. He would say it is not about motivation. Is it about your motive to action? So I'm speaking specifically to those of you, and drop in the comment box if this is you. I'm speaking specifically to the, Andrew says bye now. I love that. I'm speaking specifically to those of you. This is true, you guys. Specifically to those of you that want to inspire and move others. You've got to be able to find out what's their motive, not just like pump them up with a bunch of rah-rah. How do you think Tony gets people to do, to jump in, to take action? It's an element of coaching, but it's a whole syntax of what he does. Now, I want to share this. This is the most important thing I'll share about this program. Clearly, you guys can tell I love the program. But why I think you will love it, why we think you will love it, why Tony thinks you will love it, is that he makes it simple. He did all the work for you over 43 years. He's done every single training you can think of. He's worked with all the therapists. He does the classes and the coaching and the certification. He learns NLP. And he takes these things that are scattered all over the place, and he simplified it into 7 steps that he is going to train you on over those 4 days. And those 7 steps are going to be so simple. Remember, complexity is the enemy of execution. They're practical. It's a gift. They're practical. They're simple to learn. And it's going to allow you to influence others to create radical and dramatic shifts and changes. Okay? So I want to share with you a little thing that Tony said about leadership. And he says that the academy awakens the leader inside of you. It'll make you a leader in the workplace, at home, with your clients, your relationships, inside of your family, because it allows you to inspire others. This is important. Listen carefully. To do, be, give, and become more than they ever thought possible. He created this program to answer the call from other leaders that find themselves wondering, how does Tony do what he does? It's for those of you that were at UPW, and every time Tony said he read that book, you wrote the book down. It's for those of you at UPW that were watching the interventions thinking like, how is he doing this? Why can't I get my clients to do that? It's for those of you that have somebody that wants to book a meeting and they're like, all right, let me think about it, and they never come back. How can you lead and inspire a group of people and awaken that leader within inside of yourself? So it is such a huge honor to share this program with you. I hope I gave you the breadth and depth of details. If you feel like you understand the program, the 4 days, I just want you to put like yes in the comments, because I want to give you as rich of a description as possible, because it's not like this is something next year. It's in 34 days from today, October 8th through 11th. And every single one of you that just graduated UPW, you guys are going to get a special offer gift from Tony, of course, for being involved in UPW. You stepped up and did that. So his gift for every single one of you today, he doesn't want you guys to be like waiting on it. He wants those of you that right now are like, yep, that's me. That's me. I'm a leader. I'm leading a family. Those of you, the program is $4,495. Every single one of you on here that enrolls today, you guys are going to get $1,000 off. So it's going to be $3,495 for enrolling today. I don't even know if I shared that with you, Bri. Did I?
I didn't know that. That's pretty epic.
$1,000 off for UPW graduates, because you guys already have the foundation. Think about it. You've already done 4 days. You've already broken through a limitation yourself. You're still continuing the trajectory of momentum, and he just doesn't want your momentum to stop. So if you want to hang out with Brian and I again in 34 days, our team will put this up on the screen right here. It is trleader2020.com. trleader2020.com, and we've already pre-programmed $1,000 off inside of this landing page. So you guys don't have to do anything. It's just going to be immediately plugged in, and you have that all the way until today. I think it's Pacific time, midnight. So you have all the way throughout this day to get in, but just don't wait on it. It's in 34 days. I hope you can tell I'm excited. I am gearing up to take personally my life to another level of leadership so I can serve more of you. Brian and I are putting our heads together, figuring out how we can continue to serve our clients. And it's a way for you to really truly learn what it is that Tony is doing and how he does it and how he learned it. And so you can embody that identity as a leader yourself. Bri, anything you want to sprinkle on top here?
Cameron Lewis says he's in. I'm in for Leadership Academy. Mika says I'm in. Patricia says I'm in. There's so many people in. I think that event always sells out. So hopefully you guys have the opportunity. I think we have enough tickets for most of the people who are on here, but there's about 20,000 people who got this email. So if you are jumping on it, it is first come, first serve. So yeah, you may want to get in there before this thing sells out, because like KK said, we can only fit so many people on the Zoom. So for those of you who are ready to step up, take action, be the leader in your own life, go make it happen. And for those of you who are thinking about it, hopefully we got you covered by the end of the day. But again, KK, we'll keep a tally on today. So jump on it, guys.
I'm going to answer just a few quick questions while we're here with you guys. Someone said, is it included in Master University? It is not included in Master University. This is going to be an in addition to, okay? It's only a once a year event. You don't hear about it too much because it's specifically for people that are answering the call to lead at a deeper level. So that's why we offered the invitation to you today, because in Tony's eyes, all of you have already done the foundational work. So you're ready. And yes, it's not because we want it to be limited. We would have all of you on if we could. It's just Zoom requirements. We're working on that. Second question is, did be on here every day? Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to answer or just call out is, like, a lot of you are saying, I've been to Leadership Academy. It's the most incredible event I've ever been to. It is, you guys, tactical. You are going to have in real time practice where you learn something and then you do it and you get the feedback and it's in the moment. I remember I went a couple years ago. It's usually in San Diego, and when I got there, I was there for something else, but I had popped in when one of the speakers, her name is Jane Argrave, is on the stage, and she's teaching body language. And I remember she was teaching something, and it was as simple as like a handshake, like literally when you interact with somebody, like matching and mirroring and rapport and the way you move your body. Like literally, when you guys get back in person, you're influencing and leading by literally the way you hold your body and walk in. And she was up there talking about a handshake. And when you're in the middle of a meeting and the way you shake someone's hand, the way that person holds their thumb, you can learn so much about them, the way their socks are on. When you were in a meeting and their socks are on, and she's like worked with FBI, CIA, I'm over there like 10 pages of notes in. She wears these incredible pink glasses. You guys should search her by name. But she's just, the speaker lineup is insane. The skill sets you learn, so fundamentally tactical. It's like, if you choose to lead, you can only take someone as far as you've been. And I'm just passionate about tactics. So I hope you can feel it from my heart today that I really care about all of you and I want you guys to get in. So trleader2020.com. I will sure as hell be there. Brian will be there. We will all be there. And if you will be there, I want you guys to drop an I'm in the comment box so we can all hang out together. Speed this thing up. My gosh, I want it to be tomorrow. All right, everyone. Those are the juicy details for today. Brian, anything to wrap up with before we say sayonara?
We'll see you there. Someone asked, hey, can my husband join on the camera with me? The answer is yes. Don't tell TR, but if they're watching in the same room that you are, hey, at least you're both learning the leadership skills. So maybe you got a friend or someone that you'd like to join with you, and you can all watch it together. So can't wait to serve you. And we know it'll be a blessed experience for you. And we know that not just like for yourself, but think about how it will double over your lifetime, those leadership skills that you'll be able to pass along to other and then influence people, what would that do for your business? What would that do for your relationships? What would it do for your health? What would it do for your finances? To
Mhm.
be able to learn these skills and then help influence people in a way that a true leader does. So
Okay,
can't.
I know we need to get off of this, but I gotta say one more thing. What Brian just shared, you guys, is so important. He said, who else will this impact? If you're leading a community, I'm thinking about my niece, her name is Tula, and it's like when I learn these things, and even my nephews, I can sit down with them and teach them. You can teach your teammates. Like if you understand it as the leader, what you learn here, what it will do for your business. If you can teach it to your management team, I don't even know what your results are going to look like. If you can teach it to the people you love, your family, and it affects the way you show up at the dinner table, like you're literally going to learn things that you can implement at the dinner table. There's one thing you'll learn, it's called magic moments. I'm not going to tell you about it, but you can do it with your team and you can do it with your family. It's like the most tactical way to learn what Tony does at Leadership Academy. And now it's virtual at your home. You can have the whole family in the room with you. trleader2020.com.
Let me get like one more thing. Like Tony gets paid over $1 million a year to coach people like Oprah, Sarah Blakely, these types of people. And if you're a coach and you're an aspiring coach and you're thinking you want to coach, like to learn the same skills that this person has, the average coach is maybe $1,000 a month. Imagine that you learn these skills, the amount of influence that you would have on your clients and customers, and then the value that you'd be able to give them, and that you would be able to have for yourself and for your business as a coach. My God. If I was coaching still, KK, I'd be like all over it for the third time. But I'm going just because I know I'm part of the team and I just want to be there.
Yeah. Yay. All
Yeah.
right, you guys have great questions in here. Our team is always here to support you. So should you need anything, you guys just go to trleader2020.com and you can get all the info there. You can connect with somebody to speak to there. But my humble invitation for you is go. Like if I could say one word, it's get your ass there. I love this event so much. Okay, that's all I got to say. With that, you guys, we love you. This has been a beautiful day. That's it. Live with passion. Live with passion. All right. Bye, everybody.
We'll see you there. Bye bye.
you.